Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome to this episode of Mugscast.
Today, we're talking about our thoughts on the final Daniel Craig James Bond film, No Time to Die. Cheers. We're going to start with spoiler-free thoughts, because you know this movie is very fresh, still not even out of theaters, and you can't watch it anywhere else right now. So
yeah, which is crazy.
I know. I wanted to so badly. I wanted to watch it again,
I
just
definitely
like
wanted
at
to watch
home.
it again.
But I ended up going back to the theater.
I'm not even kidding you when I tell you this. I will probably buy the Daniel Craig collection.
Oh my God, that's
I'm pretty sure I'm going to on Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure I'm buying the collection.
So
spoiler-free thoughts.
This movie is phenomenal, top to bottom.
Really good.
It's
not without faults. There's a couple little things in there that really nagged me. Not super bad, but just kind of But it's really, really good. We're talking.
It is. For starters, on a technical level, from front to back, gorgeous.
Yes.
Cinematography, sound design. Holy shit. Performances.
Yep.
Writing. Everything, and pacing, exquisite pacing. Holy shit!
Honestly, this movie is really good, and the people that give it a low score, honestly, there's a reason for it.
It's something in the movie that people aren't happy with, which we won't spoil. But make up your own mind. Go and see the movie and make up your own mind.
By all means.
It's fine. It's fine if you don't like that. But regardless, the rest of the movie is phenomenal.
Okay, so from here on out.
Yeah,
get ready because
we're gonna go in depth on
heavy spoilers. So
everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So right now, okay.
All right.
Okay. So.
So right off the bat, right? So we start with that beginning scene.
Well, we've got the classic intro.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He walks in and shoots, but there's no blood. It's not like the other ones
where there's some gimmicky thing, right? It's like. When I say gimmicky, I mean
Spectre did it too.
Yeah, Spectre did it too. But something about this one was just better. I don't know.
It's different because there's no blood.
Yeah.
He just shoots and nothing drips down.
Yeah.
Which I want to talk about. Remind me to talk about it again at the end once we get to the big thing at the end because
something happened.
Because it kind of makes sense from what I was reading and learning about that there's a reason there's no blood. But yeah, so it opens with the story that Madeline talked about in Spectre.
Which is very different little details from what she talked about.
There's nothing different. She just said a guy came to her home and she shot him.
Gun, but
that was it.
The way they insinuated in the movie was like she killed him. That's the way it was kind of said in the movie. She was like, there was a gun under the sink.
Right, but
they never had to use it.
But she didn't say. She
didn't say. You're right.
It's just your mind.
Right? In
you're
your
just
mind,
thinking
you're just like,
she killed him.
Oh, she killed him.
Right.
So it's not that it was fully different, but she clearly left out some details.
Yeah, of course. But she wasn't going into detail.
No,
she was just like, I know how to use a gun.
Yeah. But it's so funny how that line is like the setup for this movie, and it's in no way do I think it's shit. In no way do I think it's shit at all.
That's why I was saying it's so important to have seen Spectre for this movie. It's so interconnected in every way. It's
honestly,
very important.
Skyfall and more Spectre than anything else.
It's really Spectre in this. You could not see Skyfall and just see Spectre in these two, and you would understand what's going on.
Kind of,
and that's also why
you also need to understand why there's a different. Why there's different locations, why there's
I suppose, but really, I'm saying you could technically, the only problem would be Vesper. But other than that, you could pretty much skip the first three. You could pretty much not watch the first three and just watch Spectre and this you would mostly get it.
Yeah.
I went with my brother, and he hadn't seen the other ones in such a long time, and he was like, I still got the gist of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd seen all of them, but it was a long time ago. Yeah. So but opening on this immediately, I at first I was watching, I was like, okay, what is this? And I realized, oh my God, this is her. This is the story. I was like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah, and it's the way they set it up, by the way, because it's funny. Okay, so originally I tried to watch this earlier. Not even gonna lie, I tried to watch it online. Okay?
Yeah,
complete shit quality. But when I clicked on that link, I thought I clicked on the wrong movie because the way it was set up. I told you this. So the scene is she's sitting there. And she's talking to her mom or whatever, and then a shadow comes up behind her, so she looks.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Mom," she's trying to wake up her mom, and then it pans back over to the window, and it's like, boom, and there's someone in the window, and I literally was like, "What the fuck was this?" I was like, I clicked the wrong movie. I like the way they set that up though. It was it was meant to look tense and scary because from the kid's point of view, And it's good. It's good. It's a really good intro. It actually had me hooked instantly.
Yes.
I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen?
It's also just the snow and everything visually.
Yes.
Amazing. You're watching Safin walk up and everything. It's this huge wide shot of him just trailing through the snow.
And So it's so funny, right? Because this is like a flashback sequence, right? And because they decided to do it in like that snowy area.
Yeah.
When you're getting shots from the inside of the house, it's almost like it isn't a dream because it's so white outside
that
it's
ethereal,
like secluded. Yeah, it's like it's so good. I like the way they shot that shot.
And when she realizes he's there, and have that little jump scare or whatever, she runs to go and try and go into the safe room, and it pans through, and you see the Spectre ring on the table. And it's another Mr. White safe room, but I don't know why she couldn't get in. Didn't really make any sense. I guess he changed the code.
Yeah, he changed the code, or she was putting it wrong or something. But it's true because I was like, why couldn't she get in? I was like, they panned it over, and I get that, but they didn't.
I'm not worried about it though. Yeah. It's such a small thing. So he walks in, right, and another phenomenal shot is through the door. She runs, and the door slides closed as he walks in here, and you see him through that frosted, fucked up glass, and it's like, oh my god, it looks so good. Dude.
It does. It's like honestly, a lot of the shots in this movie in general are like,
my god,
damn.
Yes.
There's actually a shot that I want to talk about later towards the end of the movie that I was like, was this intentional? But I'll tell you. I'll tell you after.
So yeah, so he walks in and he talks to her and he's like, I'm here for your husband. She's like, he's not here or whatever, and he's like, that's okay because this will hurt him more, and he just lights her up on the couch.
And so in that, when that happens, she jumps, and that's what gives her away. Because as far as he would have known, it would have just been the mom. He had no idea she was here because she literally lets out like a yelp, and he was like, "Oh, somebody else is here." So he ends up going upstairs.
She's hiding under the thing.
Yes. And we didn't talk about this, but she was cleaning before, and she opened up the sink.
Yeah, because her mom dropped the glass.
Yeah. So she was cleaning, and they show the gun that she talks about, Inspector, that was under the sink. They do show that. They don't show her grabbing it, but they do show that gun is there.
No, they show her grabbing it. She gets the bottle and the gun at the same time. I'm pretty sure. Although I don't know why,
I don't think so.
because she grabs two things.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't grab the gun. I promise you.
Wait, no, the gun is under her bed, isn't it?
No, she grabbed it. I'm pretty sure when she ran, she grabbed it because she ran through some I'm pretty sure she grabbed it after she realized something was happening.
Maybe that's I was always wondering why they showed that second shot of the sink. That wouldn't explain it. Yeah.
So
real quick though, I want to say I don't know. I wonder if initially this scene was intended to have him wearing a mask, or if they added that after the fact because they're like, shit, this is good. This is 20 years ago, and we're going to flash forward 20 years, and Rami Malek is still going to look like he's 20.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we need to hide this face so you can't tell.
Yeah.
And even when you flash forward, you're like, if that was him back then and now he still looks like he's 25, what happened there? He should be 40-something, almost 50. So she pulls out the gun.
Yeah, well, she's hiding, and what gives her away is
a phone call. I assume from Mr. White is my guess.
But the cool thing is, she didn't hesitate. No hesitation.
She gets up, unloads a clip. Boom, boom, boom,
unloads
a fucking clip, bro.
And he falls.
Yeah.
And so she starts to drag him out, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's dragging him out. And all of a sudden he coughs and sits up, and she gets fucking terrified.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this afterwards. I'm like they don't really explain why he survives it.
No.
But the assumption for me is just bulletproof vest because he's wearing a fucking massive puffy jacket.
It's true.
You can just make it up at that point.
And when he's blood, but not a lot.
That's what I was thinking. When he's getting dragged out, it's such a minute amount of blood. Because I think he got shot in. I wrote
it's probably an abdomen area.
He got shot in the chest, legs, and arms. So I'm assuming it's the leg shot and the arm shot that's bleeding.
Yes,
and that's totally survivable.
It's not a lot of blood. It's true. Mm-hmm. So she's dragging him out. He sits up, and she panics and she runs out into the ice.
On the ice, yeah.
And so she runs out to the ice, and it starts to crack, and boom, she falls in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she falls in, it's funny because you think he's just gonna watch her drown.
Yeah.
And instead he shoots the shit, and it's funny because if you watch it, you're like, oh my gosh, she's dead.
Dude,
but what he does is he shoots around there.
Right, but when you're watching it though, it's the fucking closest.
Yeah,
he's shooting
it's
true.
It's true.
It doesn't even look like. It doesn't even look like he's aiming. It just looks like he's spraying.
It's funny, right? Because the first time not the first time, but when I first saw that scene, I was like, he missed every shot, bro. And then I was like, oh, because then he reaches
but that's
down
the thing
and
he's still doing it. He just is nah. It doesn't even look like he's intentionally doing it. He's like, fuck it. If I hit her, I hit her.
Yeah, but so he pulls her out, and as he pulls her out,
transition.
Boom, we transition to she's coming out of the water grown up, and she was thinking about that. She was having a flashback, PTSD, basically.
So Bond is there, shirtless and sexy as ever. Thank you, Daniel Craig. We love you. And
looks amazing, by the way.
I know, isn't he? He's early 50s.
I think he's in early 50s. Yeah, and he looks great. He looks really good, especially like at the end. He looks like really good.
And that Henley boy, oh my god.
Anyway,
but he looks like. I mean, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
So they're in Matera in Italy.
Yeah.
And
did they say how long it's been since the last movie?
5
Not yet.
years.
No.
Yeah.
No. Maybe. I don't think they ever say it in the movie, but there's a line
I'm pretty
that Bond
sure
says
they
later.
do.
There's a line that Bond says later, and we'll get to it in a second. Because
I think they show it. I swear they do because I remember noticing it the first time. The second time I was writing a note, so I missed it.
You're thinking after.
No, they showed it. They showed 5 years later. I swear they did.
They did after the train scene. That's when they show it. They show 5 years later after that. But
before you're talking about this?
Yeah, here.
This is if you're asking how long after the flashback?
No, how long after Spectre?
It's right after, like directly after.
It's not, and I'll tell you why.
No, it is.
There's a line that Bond says that I was like, what? Because there's a line that Bond says later where I was like, oh, it's been a while. Like.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
There's a line that Bond says later where it's like, I was like, whoa, okay, whatever.
So, yeah, they're driving, and it's at this point where she says something, they're talking, and he's like, we've got all the time in the world,
Yeah.
Setting up this like intense time theme throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's such a huge part of the movie.
Yes.
And I wrote immediately, not only because of, this backstory that you get from Madeline, but everything, just the way they're acting together. Love them together immediately. It just fits right off the bat. You're like, this is working now. Yeah. Like Inspector, you didn't really get it, but immediately they're madly in love.
There's been time.
I'm right along with it. Yeah. This is great. I love watching.
Yes.
I'm with it.
It was so weird, right? Because we complained about Inspector that didn't show it enough, and here they didn't show it. But
it's not that they didn't show it enough; it's that they didn't. It wasn't well written enough to
show
to get you to be
here,
like,
yes, here
oh, they're madly in love.
Feel it. Like it's funny that you say that because I was thinking the whole time I was like, oh, this is really nice. Like,
yes,
it's really nice.
And this is why I said as well, it retrospectively improves Spectre because now looking back, you have the context of how they actually are and their whole relationship, her backstory. Yep. And so when you go into Spectre, you're like, oh, I love this character already.
Yes.
So it kind of changes your view on it.
Yeah. So we get our intro sequence. No, I didn't skip anything.
Yes.
No, she says don't speed up. Oh wait, yeah, you're right.
You skipped
hella shit. You're right.
You skipped like 30 minutes of content.
Yeah, you're right. I did actually.
By the way, this is the longest cold open in the whole.
Yeah, it's
ever.
You're right. It is. It's very long. I just remember that.
They're in bed. They're talking about stuff, and he's like, where'd you go when you were in the water? Like, tell me what you were thinking about.
The intro sequence happened then.
Yeah, goddamn, dude. But you would think around then is when it normally would happen.
Yeah, it's true.
But and she's like, tell you what, you deal with Vesper. And I'll tell you.
She basically says, "I'll show you mine if you show me yours."
Yeah, exactly.
She wants him to let go of Vesper because clearly he's still hanging on to it.
Yes, and I've been watching a lot of interviews and stuff, and Daniel Craig's talked about like every time that they made a Bond movie, with maybe Skyfall, there might be like a small element or a few lines of Skyfall that mentions her, but every single time they made a Bond movie, he's like, we go, let's make a one-off. Let's just make a classic one-off Bond movie, and every time he said. That would just like slip its way back in. They'd be like, we couldn't let it go. Like Vesper, like that whole thing of how much it like shaped his character. Like it's the like impetus for everything that he does.
Yeah, it is.
So I love that they wrapped it up finally in this in such a beautiful way.
It is. It's very
because she says that and he's just like and again.
Before this because it does show them walking to the room. And he's constantly like slightly paranoid. He is looking.
He looks over. She's like, "You're always looking over your shoulder." He's like, "I'm not looking over my shoulder."
Yeah, but he is. He constantly feels like the pressure of something's gonna happen.
He goes, "Are we gonna have a row about this?"
Yeah. But So they have that moment, and then she puts the name.
Well, she says it, and I love that he's just like leaning over the bed, and immediately this is what I'm saying. Like you can tell. Immediately how much they are in love with each other because he agrees to it like that.
Yeah,
he's not like, I can't do it. He's like,
even the way he looks at her.
Yeah.
Even the way he's just into this conversation.
And he's like, yeah, so if I do that, we can do whatever next. And she's like, yes. He's like, okay. He literally just says, okay.
It's not our typical suave Bond where he's like, oh yeah, sure. No, he's more like, oh yeah, like for sure. Like he's
and
just
it's the same. It's exactly how he was with Vesper.
Yes.
Except, I mean, if Vesper had asked him to do the same thing, he would have done it.
Yeah.
He's in that same scenario now. He's finally made it back there. Yeah. So she writes down something, her secret, whatever and she burns it.
She burns it. Yeah.
I assume that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
That's what she's writing down.
Yeah. It's something.
Because it's something super short, so it has to be like, I'm pregnant, and she burns it and throws it out. And then, so we wake up the next day, Bond's in a fucking snazzy suit. My God, that fits him so nicely, and it fits the vibe of this Italy.
Most of the attire he wears throughout this movie
beautiful,
is like,
dude. Phenomenal. Some of the best, some of the best suits in the whole series.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm going to go do this, and I'll be back in time for breakfast.
Yeah.
And she also does kind of reveal, he's like, oh, is that why we're in Italy? And she's like, kinda, yeah, I brought us here because she's buried here at the Acropolis.
Yeah.
So he goes off. And one thing I absolutely love about this as well is when he's like going up to her grave, you get such a sense of the landscape because he walks across the bridge and you can see exactly where he went up like this and around here to the grave.
Yes.
So then when you come back to the action scene later you have such a good...
You have a grasp of what the territory is.
Yeah, exactly where he is. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It is. It's good. It's well shot. Good, extremely well shot. So now we're at the grave.
Yes. So he walks out of the grave, right? Well, okay, so he walks up.
I love this.
And he talks to the guy and he's like, he's speaking Italian and he's like, blah, 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 Vesper.
Oh, yeah.
And then he turns to the kid and the kid's like looking at his phone or whatever. And the kid's like, oh, over here. Takes him over to it. This scene, man. It's...
Yo, when it happened, right? Because I was expecting something to happen. But not that. And it was loud as shit.
I was just talking about like... Daniel Craig in this and the emotion of it is...
No. It is, but he doesn't
even
get...
It hits me.
He doesn't even get to be fully emotional because he takes her name, he writes on a piece of paper.
He says, I miss you.
Yes.
And then he writes, forgive me.
Yeah, forgive me. That's what it is. Not
and
her
then
name.
He burns
forgive
it.
Me, and he burns it. And when he does this...
So sad, man.
As he's looking down at the piece of paper burning, he notices...
The classic Spectre business card. Dude, that's all I was thinking.
Yeah.
And like, if anybody's ever seen, American Psycho, I was just thinking like... off-white coloring, like lettering, Let's see Spectre's business card, But it was so specific. It's like, who designed this?
Yeah,
you have to like pass this off to somebody, get it printed, just so we can, maybe Bond will see it. Maybe he won't, or we'll just blow him up.
But it's funny because he picks up the card.
Yeah. And then he's like,
you don't even get a moment.
No, he reacts.
He knows,
he's like, oh shit, and then he gets hit.
And then it's loud. It's like boom, and you get a sense of how big it is because again, they draw back on the landscape, and you see just the smoke.
Dude, when I was seeing this in the theater for the second time, there was a row of 5 elderly women in front of me. Okay, right in front of me. And it was amazing. Like it was pretty cute. Like they were there probably just to like watch Daniel Craig.
Yes, it's funny because the only other 2 people in the theater with me were 2 other
right.
ladies. Dude.
But and then when I walked out later, I like held the door for them and I was like, "Was it good?" And they're like, "Yeah, we loved it." It was really cute. But when that explosion went off, and several times in the movie they went, "Oh shit!" They freaked out, dude. It was hitting them.
It was loud.
They could have died at any moment. Quite frankly, like it was close.
Holy shit!
But when that happened. They jumped like shit, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I already knew I was ready for it. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm just gonna leave her.
The sound design. Oh my god, the sound design on this fucking after it's over, and he's like, the sound is like coming back in, and he's like,
oh yeah,
and he picks up the car, and he's like, Madeline.
No, props for real.
Yeah, the sound design.
So the sound when it's happening. Is he loses sound?
Yeah,
because it's an explosion. But we get to hear how he's hearing.
Yes,
and it's ringing
and it's slowly coming back.
And it's funny because he's trying to call, like you said, Madeline. He's yelling, and he can barely hear himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so he realizes, oh shit, she's in danger. So he goes to take off.
Runs back to the bridge.
Mm-hmm. And he looks and he sees that kid.
Right, and so you can see right now, knowing what happens later in the movie, that you can like fucking postulate that the kid, because it wasn't like he knew he was there, so he set up a trap. He set it up, waiting, so eventually he would come there.
Yeah.
So that kid was literally just like, oh, he's finally here, called Spectre, and that's why they're there to fight him, is because he called them ahead of time as soon as Bond arrived.
Yep.
So there was preparation there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, he's going to come.
Just knew where he was.
They just like, eventually he'll come, and when he does, call us, and we'll show up.
But
and
no, that's not what it was. Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Like, looking back on it, watching it a second time.
Very good detail.
Great.
And
then one of the best action scenes in the whole series, dude.
Because he gets jumped on the bridge. And so like
you get almost no time to think because he looks at the kid and then he turns around and car's gunning at him, jumps like straight under that little rut on the bridge.
One of the coolest dodges I've honestly seen in a long time.
Fucking amazing, dude.
There was like this rock off to the side and he just
it's like they're all there. It's like it's the architecture of the bridge. It's not like they just added one there or anything. It's like that's actually how that bridge would be built.
So
I'm like, oh my fucking god!
He gets on that rock.
The quick
and the
thinking,
car
dude.
Jumps over. I know, dude.
Unbelievable.
So the car jumps over him. He stands back up, and he gets like he kind of just he doesn't dodge bullets. It grazes him.
Grazes him. Yeah. It just like flicks off of his shoulder.
And so he has to
I love the look on his face. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, what the hell? He's like, I gotta get out of here.
So he has to get off of there, and what he ends up doing is he ends up finding, I think it's like a rope or something.
It's like a cable almost.
Yeah,
that was like
and he grabs it,
lashed on the side.
Swings down.
He just jumps, no hesitation.
Yep. Actually, it's funny because as he jumps down, he gets grazed again. Boom.
Mm-hmm. And he lands on the underside of the bridge.
Yeah, he hits the wall on the underside of the bridge, and now he's away from them, but not exactly safe.
So he's running, and he kind of breaks out into the street, and the guy pulls up on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Who, I think he has an actual name, but we'll just call him Cyclops because Bond calls him Cyclops. So he shows up on the bike, and Bond, no hesitation, just fucking tackles him off of it. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. He just books it at him like playing a game of chicken.
He says something about, I think he says something about Madeline.
He's like, Madeline, she's the daughter of Spectre or whatever.
Yeah. And so he gets upset. He bashes this guy's head.
I thought he was dead. I don't know about you. I could have sworn he killed him.
So he beats the shit out of his head into the wall, and as he drops him, the eye falls out and rolls down.
And it opens up a little bit. I could have sworn he was dead the way he was choking him, and he fucking slams his skull in. But so he takes the bike, and he does that fucking jump up the side as well, which was just crazy. And that was real as well. It was totally practical. Somebody did that. I mean, obviously not Daniel Craig, but somebody did that. And the way he arrives back at the hotel and just smoothly, off the bike, he just drops it, keeps walking, and they're like, what the fuck?
Here is where Bond's insecurities play in. This isn't out of nowhere. This isn't out of character.
No.
They're like, oh yeah, your wife has packed her bags just like she asked. And he's like, this fucking bitch is betraying me. And that's not out of character because we were just talking about what happened with Vesper.
Of course.
So he's upset with her. He's you can tell he's conflicted, but he's upset with her. He's like, how did they know I was here? He's mad.
How did they know I was here, Madeline?
Yeah, he's mad.
How did they know?
He's not gonna hit or anything, but he's upset.
Didn't the phone starts ringing? He's like, fuck this.
No, they go back to they leave somewhere. They go to
no, because he's at the hotel, and then he's saying all that, and the phone rings, and he's like, fuck this, we're out of here.
Yeah, and he leaves.
So they get in the DB5, the same one that he took at the end of the last movie, and they pull off, and it becomes a chase, and oh my god, and as they're driving away, she goes, there's something I need to tell you. And he goes, I bet there is. Yeah. But then looking back on it, she needed to tell her that they were pregnant.
It's crazy. It's so funny because I was like, this is all she wanted to tell him.
That's what I'm saying. This movie, I love movies that have, other layers to appeal on rewatch.
And this movie definitely.
And this has so much stuff. They're like, oh, knowing this and knowing that and knowing that. It's like, woo.
It's funny because you think she's going to tell them about the past.
You think she's going to be like, I have something to tell you, I accidentally told them something or I accidentally led them here.
It's something, but it's not.
Because nobody watching it is like, oh, she betrayed him. When you're watching it, you're like, no, it's too obvious. She's receiving a phone call that makes her whole screen the Spectre logo. If she was actually betraying him, she's not doing this shit.
Exactly.
Obviously. So, oh my God, he pulled, good car chase stuff, dodging the goats or the sheep or whatever.
And then they get cornered. They get cornered, and this scene was so cool. First things first, the MVP of this movie is those bulletproof windows. First of all,
unbelievable.
Because they should just start unloading on the car, and this should have been a dead fucking giveaway. This should have been a dead giveaway that she was not betraying him because she was panicking hard.
This is the exact same energy as the Winter Soldier Nick Fury scene where he's just waiting last second, dude. Last second. But also
Bond's literally okay, so Bond, you can clearly tell again he's conflicted because he's not yelling at her. He's trying to stay calm, sort of. You can clearly tell he's in distress a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because he's feeling betrayed, but at the same time he's being attacked. So he's trying to stay some kind of calmness, but you can tell. Daniel Craig does such a good job in where he's tense, but he's like, I gotta wait.
There's so much going through his head. You can tell he's considering, maybe I should just let them blow our brains out.
Yeah. Maybe they can kill all of us right here.
Also, I'm gonna let it go to the last second so they run out of ammo mostly.
Yeah.
Also, I still love her. I kind of believe her.
Yeah.
Let me use this as an opportunity to kind of see how she acts and kind of
there's so much
anchor how I believe in her.
In this scene, a lot.
Yes, and just in his face, he says nothing. He says is okay.
Yeah.
And everything else is all in his face. Yeah. He's such a phenomenal actor.
Yeah,
bro.
and so
in this movie in particular, I think this is his best performance in the whole series.
So he the bad guy, I don't know who it is, whatever.
Cyclops is shooting right up on them with a G36.
And you can see the glasses literally
it's like punching in.
Yeah, and it's about to break, and she's like, do something. He's like,
Okay.
And like he pops the guns out, and then Cyclops is like, "Oh shit!" So he like goes to take off, and Bond does a nice little
drift. Yeah. Dude.
By the way, I love that they brought gadgets back because this car has hella gadgets. He unloads the minigun on the cars.
Yeah.
And
earlier they did like the I can't remember.
Bombs. It was the bombs with the.
It wasn't bombs. It was what do you call them? Caltrops.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. You're right.
Because he drops them at the back, and the car pops all its tires and explodes.
But yeah, anyway, so he does the smoke, and then boom, he takes off down the road.
Straight to the train station.
Yeah, straight to the train station, and then he says, "Peace, bitch, I'm out." He still feels betrayed. He doesn't kill her. He doesn't do anything. He's conflicted.
But here's the thing, and this is another thing I rewatched that I noticed. You probably didn't notice it. I mean, once I say it, I'd be like, "Oh my god!" But on rewatch, as the doors close, she's like going. She almost wants to say something, and she goes like this, and she grabs her stomach because she can't tell him. And it's as the doors close, she's like, "Oh," like that. And dude, on a rewatch, like, "Oh,
you're right because I thought she was like, "Oh, this is making me sick to my stomach."
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
but on a rewatch,
you don't even have to rewatch it because you're right. She did. She was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, this is killing her. Like she's sick to her stomach."
Bro.
Oh, damn it! You're right. She did. She grabbed her stomach. Yeah, damn.
So then she's running and like looking at him as it goes, and then the intro.
Yes, which, sorry to say, every other intro, this is my favorite one. This one's good. This one is and it's so much more simplistic. I actually really like this intro a lot.
I'm like, oh my god,
it's good.
It's something else, man.
I honestly like Skyfalls. I love
the only thing I would say is it is my favorite, but I also have to put it equal with Casino Royale because, and I went back and listened to all of them, like just songs. So I was like trying to think about it, and I want to give this one the edge, but Casino Royale is just such like when you watch it, you're like, this is Bond. Like this is like
it's true.
This shit. Like this is classic.
And this one is not super classic
incredible.
Bond. This one's not super classic Bond.
It has the elements that like sneaks in on you. You know.
And like so. On a second watch, I don't even have to do it on a second watch because I was like, I was in like review mode. I wasn't just enjoying the movie. I was in review mode, so I was thinking back to some of the stuff. This intro gives stuff away, dude. So very, very discreetly.
There's so much going on in this intro. First of all, love the visuals. The song. So the song is the best song.
Yes,
the song is the best. Like it's a song I actually would listen to. Yeah. As opposed to the other ones.
I like it's killing me.
So, but. So like the lyrics of the song, first of all, fucking phenomenal choice to have it be Billie Eilish. Her voice suits this so well, dude.
But it was good.
Suits it so well, and it's so ridiculous, by the way, because she makes great music, but it's her and her brother.
Yeah,
they do it all together. Like he produces most of it, and then she sings over it. They did this too, like. The shit that they make is nothing like this. And he's just like, I'm just going to casually produce a Bond song. And, like, we can just do this. Like, the fucking talent to just be able to turn on a dime and be like, yeah, we can make a Bond song, too. Like, this super understated and just, like, specific like that.
This is a really phenomenal song. This whole intro, in my opinion, is amazing. I was hooked. And they had, like, I love it, dude. They had, like, the car in water. Right, they had the car in water and it was sinking, and then it landed and it was like a desert and like the crumbles of like, it's so good.
I put there's a huge emphasis on the theme of time, especially in the intro. Hourglasses.
You're talking about, and not even just that, when he's sitting on the hand of one clock and she's sitting on the other,
and they're like spades as well. Yes. The hands of the clock are spades, kind of referencing back to Casino Royale.
Dude.
And because as well, the lyrics of the song have when you really listen to it after watching it, the lyrics mean 100,000 different things. Mostly it's talking about like him feeling betrayed by Madeline, but then also Vesper, because it's the same situation. He feels, was I stupid to love you? Was I reckless to help?
Yes.
All this shit. And then so I think when it's saying that,
Chunky, you gotta get off.
And when you see like the clock hands, I think that's supposed to represent Vesper in him because it has the spades and it's more that. And then as it goes on, it's more Madeline in him. But there's also the DNA sequence guns.
With the guns? Oh my god. Dude.
Filthy.
When they showed and they started to talk about DNA in the movie, I was like, okay, that's where the gun thing played. I was like, that's so good.
But also just like it's his nature. He can't let it go.
That's what I was about to say. It's his DNA. Mm-hmm. He's like a killer. Dude. But also, it's an assassin DNA. Like, it's something.
Dude, not to mention, it's also in his DNA that the guns start shooting and you see people from his life in his it's his DNA, dude. Holy shit!
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that
layers,
one.
Layers,
fucking
boy.
hell.
This intro is good. It's my favorite one. It's
my
favorite one.
It is my favorite one. I think. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, it's my favorite one.
It's good.
Casino Royale is the closest second I've ever seen in my entire life, just because of how the feeling you get when you're watching. You're like, oh my god, this is Bond. But this is
even now that I'm thinking about it more and more, I'm just like, dude, there's so much shit that they.
This is everything. Good. The culmination of everything.
Okay. We talked about this for almost a good 7-8 minutes now. Just the intro alone, it's good. I promise you, it's good. I would go back and just rewatch the intro.
I wanted to, but you can't find it anywhere on YouTube.
I know you can't yet. So no, don't worry, boy. I'm buying that when it comes out.
All right, so nothing's different about me. This is normal. Let's move on. So, and then finally, I also do love the, still talking about the intro, but I do love the imagery of the red circles, the circle imagery, which I kind of feel like is sort of a reference towards the explosions at the end. Sort of the way it's almost he's standing at the end of the intro sequence and it's almost a explosion on the horizon almost. I feel like that's what it's kind of leaning towards.
But I was thinking, never mind.
That's the vibe it gives me. I don't know. That's just the way I feel about it. But anyway, and then, dude, that final transition into the spin of them going down the glass, the camera spins out of the intro into them walking down the glass.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Yes. Holy shit. The colors are perfectly transitioned and everything. And then you also get the song ends and then you get that the classic James Bond spy thing as the very end. It's oh my god, dude. Yeah, unbelievable from start to finish.
Phenomenal.
Oh my god. So anyway. We're in this, this laboratory and, you got this Arbachev, the scientist, and he gets a call from Safin, which I didn't really catch the first time because he doesn't say anything and I couldn't really recognize his voice. Yeah. But now I realize after he does say his name, I think Arbachev says Safin, but it's really quick. You can't really tell. But Safin calls him as this is what we've been waiting for. They're coming to take the weapon. You know what to do.
Yeah.
Put all this on a USB drive, and he's like, and then what? He's like, swallow it. Swallow it.
Yeah. And he's like, they're not gonna kill you. He's like, they think they need you.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone dies.
Yeah, except for him.
Except for him. They unlock it. You give them the weapon. Yep. Yes, and they use the fucking magnets to escape.
That was cool as fuck.
That was so fucking cool.
That was really cool. I was like, this is different.
And it doesn't even feel that unbelievable. Nope. It's
so for those
doesn't
who don't know,
stretch my imagination.
He said something too. The scientist. He's like safety cables. He's like something.
And what is it? Safety vest or whatever.
So they shoot this thing down and it lands and it pops magnets out everywhere, right? And then it just drop him. They just drop him
because
and they all fall.
It's like a field of reverse.
And the magnet catches. Oh, it's so cool. I really like that, actually.
Amazing.
But yeah, anyways, so they basically.
Also, this is where you realize Cyclops is still alive because he's there with him. Yeah. He's in every scenario where they need to get something done. He's the head
he's alive when they were in the shootout. Because he's on the.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. But I meant just I don't know. He's here as well.
But yeah. But it's 5 years later, by the way. This is when they do the 5 years later.
Yes. As soon as it flips into them going down the glass, you see 5 years later. They escape with everything, and then we cut to MI6, and Moneypenny's running in to alert M, and he's like, I already know.
All the same actors.
I already know.
All the same actors.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Amazing.
So, and then M's like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And she's like, what? And he's like, it was just a gas leak. It's nothing.
No. She says, Heracles, what is that? She's like, it's off the books. He's like, yes, it's off the books. She's like, there's been casualties.
She's like, should I tell the Prime Minister? It's a gas leak. No, nothing's
he's like,
wrong.
No, keep this shit covered. He's like,
and then he goes, where's 007? Yeah. And then it cuts straight to Bond, so you're thinking, oh, where's 007? He's going to go to 007. Yes. But he's talking about the new 007, which we don't know yet.
Yep.
But that's another great detail to realize on the second watch.
Very good. Very well done.
Retired Bond.
Yep.
Chilling. Yep. Taking sexy naked showers. Love to see it.
Doing his thing.
So he walks back up and he sees... I'm so happy I actually caught this the first time. It's cigar ash on the ground. Yes. And I was like...
It's funny.
Who that is?
Because and then he grabs the cigar too. He grabs the end of the cigar.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, and I was like, what is he doing this? And then.
But the first time I saw it, I didn't realize it was Felix. I was like, it must be somebody who smokes cigars. But I was thinking he sees this and he's not reacting. He's not doing anything, and it's because he knew it was Felix. That's the type of cigar that he smokes. So he's like, oh, I can chill. I don't need to worry. It's not some enemy. So, and again on a second watch, I don't know how I didn't notice this the first time. It's super quick, but I missed it the first time. It's as he's driving into town.
Another car.
Well, no, as he's driving into town, he passes 007 on the side of the road.
Yeah.
She's like talking to somebody like, oh, can you fix my bike or whatever? And she's just standing there.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I didn't
it's
see that
super
one.
quick because he just like zips by her.
Yeah.
And they make eye contact for a second.
Yeah.
But then, so he passes her. And so he, whatever. He's getting followed or whatever, and he stops them, and it's Felix.
Yeah.
And which is so great, by the way, to get him back and also, give him finality to the story, because he was, a relatively big part of the first two movies in terms of like helping the story along. The second, in Quantum of Solace, he was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Whatever. But at least, they brought him back.
But it's cool that they even brought him back. They acknowledge that he existed.
Yeah, and you can tell, there's obviously stuff that we don't see everything in these movies, but clearly they have become very good friends over the course of this.
Because he has respect for him. They have like a little game that they play too.
I know, it was such a great way to do that exposition and
where it's like they've known each other.
Improve their characters and also give you like visual exposition of like, they know each other and make it a more fun way to deliver it as well. Yeah. So, they're doing that, and he's like, 2, 3,
but let's not ignore the fact that there's a guy with Felix.
Yeah, the Book of Mormon.
Politically assigned guy or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so, he's, it's, what's his name? Logan Ash.
Yes.
He's like, and the best part is, it's Spectre, and he's like trying to convince Bond to do this, and Bond's like, let me get the next round, walks over to the bar, and says to Felix, like, where'd you find the Book of Mormon?
Yeah.
And then, I missed this the first time, but I caught it the second time. Felix goes, I guess intelligence isn't really central anymore. Which is a great line.
Yeah.
So, Bond's basically like, no, I'm good. And he's like, I'll call you or whatever.
And he's like, I got your number.
Yeah, I got your number. And then he bumps into Nomi. Yeah. And she's like, hello or whatever. But then he goes back out, hops in his Jeep. He's like, ready to get out of there, but it won't start. And then she very conveniently pulls up and is like, you need a ride? And he's like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Hops on. They ride back.
Yep.
And she says something. She's like, I have a thing for old wrecks or something.
Yeah.
Thing for old shipwrecks. And he's like, wow, you're in the right place. And then they get back, and she's like, is that the bedroom? And he's like, yes, it is. He's like, ready. And then he goes in, and
it's funny because they make you think she's undressing or something.
Yeah.
And it
takes the hair off.
Takes the hair off. And he's like, that's not the first thing I expected you to take off. It's so good.
But then, then they both drop the act immediately. He's like, he knew the whole time.
Yeah, he knew the whole time. He's like
too good.
He's like, who are you? He's like, and why did you mess up my car?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm the new 00. And he's like, oh, okay. And, she tells him about what's going on or whatever, hands him the phone, like, you can talk to him or whatever. And she walks out, and she's like, by the way, I'm not just any 00.
Yeah,
I'm 007.
Yeah.
And it's like, even here, even just to begin with, you can tell how much more she cares about it than he does. She is so like it means so much to her.
He does care about it a little.
But a little bit. But he's like,
but in a comical way.
But in comparison, she's like so like she wants to rub it in so bad because she wants she feels like it's such a huge thing, and he's like.
It's funny because they make her kind of unlikable in the beginning.
Yeah.
They do.
Because you're like, really? You have to stop to say that? Yeah. It's like, you can tell she feels like she has to, like, rub it in.
Yeah, but he says, oh, it's just a number.
Yeah.
And so he calls...
calls M. Yeah. And he's like, what the hell are you doing? What happened here? Yeah. And M's like, you stay out of our business, bud.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
He's basically just like, I don't want nothing to do with you.
But Bond also says something about... must say something about Blofeld, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he walks in and he's like, get me eyes on Blofeld. And then you see Blofeld talking, which, again, looking back on it now, him talking to himself is actually him pretending to be crazy so that he can communicate with people and say shit and talk to people through the eye.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. So we go to Cuba. So we go to Cuba, and this is where we get introduced to Ana de Armas' character.
Yes.
Paloma, I believe it was.
Yeah, Paloma.
What a fucking character, dude.
Why did they only have her on this far?
It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me. Like, of course, but that's the best thing is to leave you wanting more.
Yeah, it's true.
Even though we'll never see her again. But it was such a great, like, just way to, like, drop in this character, have a phenomenal scene, and then back out. Yep. Like such like a globe-trotting James Bond going around meeting these people, and he never goes back. He's on a mission. He's got to keep going.
She's not your typical spy. She's all uppity, or not uppity, but like all
not what you would expect. Because I've seen images of her, like in the trailers and stuff, and you would think she's like this badass.
No, she's
cool.
like this like nervous.
But she's like, I've had 3 weeks of training.
Yeah, it's amazing because like Bond comes up there and he's like Paloma, and she looks back at him, and they go to like just walk away. And he's like no, he's like something about. a hat and.
Well, first he orders the martini.
Yeah.
Which is it first, shaking.
No, that's not first. That's not first. That's later.
It's at the bar. It's at the bar right there, and then they go to walk off. He walks up with her.
No. That's after they go to sit down. That's once they already had a chat in the cellar, because she takes him out to the cellar first, and they go up to the new bar.
Yeah, you're right, and then they split up.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's funny because he's like, something
about a hat, and she's like,
as in code words, and she's like, oh right, she's like,
sorry, I forget.
I'm just nervous.
I'm nervous. I forget when I'm nervous.
She's not your typical spy at all, and she's like, and it's funny because he's like, is this your room? And she's like, this is a wine cellar.
Yeah.
And then she's like, starts unbuttoning his shirt. He's like, hey, should we get to know each other a little more? And she's like, oh god, it's so funny because it's almost like she's completely like not repulsed, but she's just like, bitch, like calm down.
She's like,
I'm just
fuck
trying
you.
to change you to your suit, like. It's so funny. She's like, "Oh no, God, no!" It's like, oh,
you disgust me.
But it's So
then we go up. Then they go up, and I love such a weird thing though as well. She does say that, but then like it cuts to them walking in, and he has the suit, and like if you watch her, she looks at him like she's like looking at him like, "Damn, you look good."
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a strange look. Maybe she just was out of character, like, "God damn, Daniel Craig," and they just left it in. But so. Yeah, so they walk in and they split up, and he sees Cyclops, I think, and she's like, "Oh, you know that guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, I met him in Italy. It was a real eye-opening experience."
Jesus.
And this is the point where they start. That's the first one-liner where you're like, "Oh, they're starting to do the classic Bond one-liners thing." And they do it multiple times throughout this movie.
There's two things that we kind of skipped over. Is the conversation at the bar? Not even a conversation. Is he orders the drinks
and she slips the earpiece in.
She slips the earpiece in because that is kind of important. But the way she drinks that drink, dude, she just...
Oh, yeah, she goes all
like,
out.
What the fuck? Because she just chugs that shit. And she's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
But anyways, the earpieces, obviously, so they can hear each other because it's going to be in a very loud area. But apparently the earpiece has something else because...
Well, they just changed the signal to match the whatever communication was going on. So, yeah, we get, they're walking around with the eye on like this pillow, and so that Blofeld can see, and he's making like this like weird little speech. And at first, it's not making any sense. It's just like jumbled shit, like I spy with my little eye, my eye, and then he's like my event, whatever, my birthday party, my celebration, and then you see like he turns it towards James, and the spotlight goes on him, and then he looks up, and it's like the Spectre logo, and then the gas starts to release.
Yes, now. Before this gas part, there's a scene where you see the Russian,
correct.
Yes. The doctor.
He changes the DNA sequence.
He's like, you need to like arm the bomb or whatever. And it's supposed to have Bond's DNA,
which we don't know at the time. You don't even know what he's doing. It makes no sense.
He drops it, and then he makes it look like he's picking it up. And
the most obvious thing ever. He like goes down. He's like, oh. Sorry.
Yeah. And then
it's like,
it's just like
Cyclops is just like, okay, just hurry up. He's like, doesn't get it at all.
Yeah. So, and instead of that mist or smoke,
instead of being a single DNA, you like going back on it, it's a single profile or multiple profile, and he loads multiple profiles.
Yes. And it ends up being literally
the gas
every
goes,
Spectre.
And when I was watching it, because I didn't know, I was like, how the fuck is he going to get out of this? This is clearly like some sort of toxic gas, right? He's going to die.
Yeah.
And even Blofeld was like, don't worry, guys, it's going to be harmless it's only harmful to him.
Yeah. And then
everybody starts dying. And you're like, what the fuck?
Shit, yeah.
Like, what's going on? And yeah, they take the eye and run off, and then Oberchev is there, and he looks at Paloma, and he's like, you work with me?
Yeah, he says something. He says something smart. I can't remember what he says, and he's like, oh. He's like, you do work with us, right?
With me, right?
And
she's like, no. And he's like,
he goes to take off.
No.
Yeah,
and he books it. And then Bond just fucking, like, absolutely hanks him with a fucking dinner plate.
It's so funny, because he grabs a drink off of it, and he's holding it in one hand, and then he takes a dinner plate, he just fucking slams it away, and then chucks the drink, and then throws
so...
Then they have this really fucking awesome scene where...
So what we also get, again, something that I know you like, is like a spy versus spy, because 007 shows up, just crashes into the window and fucking dips with him.
Ah, so good.
Yeah, and so at this point they split up, and James goes upstairs, and Paloma stays down, and oh my god, she gets the most badass fucking action scene. Yeah, one of the most badass action scenes in the whole movie. Yeah, the way she kills those 3 guys when she runs out of ammo.
It blew my mind, like how awesome she went from being this like 3 weeks of training to like complete ass.
And then she's like, she falls on the ground, she like swivels and shoots each of them.
Yeah,
amazing stuff.
So good. And meanwhile, Bond's upstairs, and what
he's taking people out too.
Yeah, he's smart because this is gonna get confusing. What's her name? Nomi. So Nomi takes this rope, this repelling thing, and she goes to rappel over with the scientist.
Yeah,
and he shoots the end of it, and he makes her swing down and hit where she didn't obviously want to go.
Yeah.
So now she's in a really shitty predicament because they're shooting at her. So again, it's still slightly spy versus spy because she's trying to get away with him before.
But the guards are shooting at her. Yeah.
And Bond's little by little taking out some of the guards that are shooting at her.
And so Bond, fucks them up, and then he jumps back down.
Yep.
And then they just stop for a drink.
No, he doesn't jump back down. I want to make sure we go over this scene because this shit actually made me laugh in the theater. He doesn't just jump back down. He's fighting the guy, and they fall. And they fall, and they hit the counter, the bar counter, and he falls, right? And then when Bond gets up, it's like, this is the first moment where it's like, oh, Bond's older. Because he gets up, he's like, oof. Like, and then he's just like, oh, like,
and he's
shit
like,
got hurt.
I need a drink after that. And so then he stops. They quickly pour drinks for each other, and he's like, you good? You're good?
Yeah.
And then, dude, the way he hops the bar is like the smoothest shit I've ever seen. He's like holding the rifle like this, and he just vaults that shit, walks out, and he's like, ba 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 ba.
Oh, so good.
Fantastic. So good. And that's the thing I love that I mentioned to my brother when I was watching it when we got out after the first time. Is like a lot of movies nowadays, like action movies, and no fault to them, it's like the gold standard for action is John Wick now because of what that did. And so most movies are like trying to emulate that or do something of that style to where it's like intense, tight angles where you can see everything play out. And in this, they let you see everything, but Bond has such a specific style of he's not doing gun fu. He's just holding it at his hip, just popping shots off.
Yeah,
he does it throughout the whole movie.
And it's so well done, right? Because again, it goes back to what Bond does. He's getting shot at, but he's not fucking panicking. He's just such
a badass in a very different way. It's like he's so smooth and cool-headed about everything. John Wick is like, I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of you, shoot you twice in the chest, and then blow your brains out.
And here, he's taking his time and he's taking the shots because he already knows they're gonna miss anyways.
Because they're focused on Nomi as well. So he's like, I can just walk out, find my targets, and pop them.
So in this one, he's getting shot at. And he kind of he does take his time a little bit, but then he starts to realize that the shots are getting kind of close, and that's when he does run at that point to get to cover.
And Paloma sees Oberchev on the thing, and I'm like, again, what if she crashed into it and he just fucking broke his neck? It could have gone so wrong.
But it's funny, right? Because at first you're thinking, what is she gonna do? Try to stop him with a car? No. She fucking just
I knew she was gonna drive into that shit.
Dude, she hits it.
Because this is the thing about the Bond movie is we talk about it all the time. Is the shit that he does, where it's he just has no regard for other people. Yeah. He's just it'll work out probably. But I'll just punch the pilot on his helicopter over a crowd of 100,000 people. It might work out. Who knows?
But yeah, she knocks him down, and they end up actually getting him.
Yes. And she reaches in the back seat and grabs a cigar.
Yes,
because
she does.
She just happened to find one, which is fine. And it's for Felix. So they run off, and she goes into this.
So Bond tells Nomi, he's
I'm taking your plane.
Thanks for the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they leave and they go on the plane.
Well, they go, and when they, when he says goodbye to her, they go into that back alleyway. He takes Oberchev, and she's like, bye. And he's like, thanks, or whatever. Yeah. It's such a nice, way to go. And that
she gives him the cigar. She gives him the cigar and shit.
Yeah, she gives him the cigar. She's like, for Felix.
Yeah.
And that, funnily enough, was the last shot they filmed for the whole movie.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that was the last shot they ever did was him walking away with Oberchev down the alley. And then it's online of, Daniel Craig, did a speech after that of,
oh, for real?
Because it was, his last shot ever. Yeah. Which is so weird. The middle of the movie. Not even the middle, the first act still. Yeah. It's his last shot in the whole thing. Funny how that works. But so and they get in the plane, go to the boat out in the middle of the ocean.
And Felix and
Logan and Ash are there. So he brings him in and he starts questioning Oberchev.
The shit out of him, he's pissed. Yeah. And Felix is like, "Shut up," to Logan, he's trying to get.
Because Logan's like, "He can't do this.
No, stop.
Don't ask that."
Him. Yeah.
And then afterwards, you realize he's like, "Don't ask, you can't ask the questions. He's gonna give me away."
Yeah. So it's funny. He's like, "How did you know? How do they know we're gonna be there?" Blah blah blah. And he literally looks over at Logan, and then Logan drops this funny boy, kind of newish act to being a complete fucking kind of slightly badass. He actually takes on Bond, and he kind of wins the fight. He shoots Felix.
Yep. Who falls downstairs?
Yeah. Which is poor Felix. That sucks. And they have a little brawl, and then Logan gets away.
Bond falls down the stairs again, and Logan traps him. And Logan goes. I find this funny again on a rewatch. He goes. Oberchev was like, he's like, I work for Safin, and Oberchev was like, yeah, I figured. And then he's like, blah blah blah, Oberchev or whatever. He's like, I know who you are. He looks at his hand. He's like, I'm not shaking your hand because of the nanobots thing. He's like, I'm not gonna touch you just in case.
Yeah.
Which you don't get it the first time. You just think he's like ew.
Now that you just said it, I'm like.
But now, it makes sense, right? Why he wouldn't want to shake his hand.
So yeah.
So
they escape.
Bond goes down there, and then he's like, Felix is like, again, another one-liner. He's like, you know what? I got a feeling in my gut he's not on our side.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always so corny, but it's very enjoyable. It's funny. So they have,
he's trying his absolute hardest to save Felix. He really is. And Felix is like, you can't save me.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't get us both out of here. And so Felix, I can't remember what he says, and then Felix...
He's like, make it count. He said, make it count.
He says, make it count, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And, like, you could tell, honestly, that sucked for Bond. Like, he's like... Again, they actually... It felt like a friendship.
And again, Daniel Craig's performance, again, is what makes this so powerful.
So it sucks because there's actually a line that we didn't go over. It's extra sad because Felix literally at one point says, I just want to finish this mission so I can go home to my wife.
Get back to finish another mission, save the world, and go back to my family. Don't you want to do that? Or whatever. That's what he said. Yeah.
It's just like, dude, that sucks.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
It's awful. So he gets out, and then we cut straight to him popping up in the garage.
Yeah.
And it pans over, and you see M's dog still sitting in the like a box, and he gets another. I think it's another S Martin, like just a newer one.
Yeah.
And he goes to MI6, and he's like, signing in. He's like, name. And he's like, Bond. And the guy's like, like what else? He's like, James Bond. And the guy's like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like, as if I'm supposed to know your name.
But it's funny, right? Because then we got that scene where they're walking in the hall, and like, he's walking into MI6.
With Nomi.
And
everybody keeps, they're like, for you, 007? Huh?
Yeah,
like, they're so
and
confused.
then somebody walks by, and he's like, 007? Like,
okay, yeah.
So then they get to Moneypenny, and she's on the phone, and no, before that, everybody keeps calling her a 007, not him. So she's like, oh, that must bother you, right? So then Moneypenny's like, oh yeah, he'll take you now.
He goes, you can go in.
He's like, no,
and then she's like,
just
him.
Just him. And he goes to go into the door, and he's like, oh
does that bother you?
Yeah. He closes the door. I love it.
So then you get this nice scene between him and M where it's like super tense.
Yes.
And
I love what he says to him, though. He says, is it me, or has this desk gotten bigger?
Or did you get smaller?
Right? So then they have like this back and forth where he's like, what? And this is where I said the line that this is why I don't know how much time has passed, because in this conversation that they're having, right, he's talking about the weapon that they're making, and Bond says, it's been 10 years. That's what Bond says. That's why I said, how much time has it been? Because Bond literally says, it's been 10 years, or almost been 10 years, since he's been like developing this weapon with Blofeld. That's why I said, what?
With Blofeld? What are you talking about?
Okay, so he's saying he worked with Blofeld to make this weapon, this DNA thing. Like, he says something in there.
He was just referencing Blofeld. They did not,
because he still says it's been 10 years. I'm telling you, he says it's been almost 10 years. So I was like,
since they were developing the weapon, because he talks about fucking hell. What was it? I want to say it was. At this point, it was one of the movies. Yes, but at this one of the previous movies where something happened where he was like one of the villains, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like people that we're up against now are getting worse.
Yeah.
And so then he decided to start developing this weapon. So that's not. What do you mean?
No, but he still says it's been 10 years since you've been developing this weapon.
Right.
But. Why? I don't know. It's just weird.
Bond knows because he found out. He looked into it, but he doesn't know everything.
No,
that doesn't mean the bomb was there when it was being developed and he knew about it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Like, so what you're telling me is that they were developing this weapon while Bond was still 007, right?
Yes.
But even then, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. They could have done a better job explaining how much time it's been, because I don't think this movie, like in the beginning with the whole Madeline thing, I don't think it's directly right after.
It is. I literally looked it up.
Is it? Okay.
It's directly right after.
Weird.
Yeah, they went just like straight there, pretty much.
Weird,
I mean, it's not seconds after. They had to go to Italy, but it's pretty much immediately after. So let's see. What is it? Oh yeah. So Emma's just like, look, fuck you. You can't judge me about this or whatever. And he keeps going back for a drink, and like the conversation's like building and building and building. And he goes back for one more drink, and Bond's like, "My God, you are thirsty!" And he's like, "You motherfucker, you can't come in here talking to me like that. Get out of here!"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Send in the real 007."
Yeah. And so they have like a heated conversation, and right before Bond walks out, he literally says, No, it's the same desk.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, bitch, you're definitely like, I have no respect for you right now.
I also love throughout it, like, he's like, so how do you know it's Blofeld? Or like, what's going on? And Bond's like, no, I'm not telling you anything until you give me what I want, which is to get me into Belmarsh to talk to Blofeld.
Yeah.
And then as he's leaving, he does the most, possibly the biggest suspension of disbelief in this movie for me, is how he walks by and tosses the visitor thing and it lands perfectly in the trash can.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Bullshit. That's where I draw the line. Okay? That is where I draw the line.
He looks at it and he's like, and he makes it in the trash.
It's as he's moving. It's a moving shot.
Yeah.
Okay? Bullshit.
Yeah, but watch.
What is this, a fucking Saturday morning cartoon? Looney Tunes?
Bullshit. I bet you Daniel Craig actually made that.
Probably. He's just that good.
But yeah, so.
Okay, so we go to Q's house.
Yes.
And we get to see Q and his cats, because I remember when I was editing the Spectre episode, you brought that up. You brought up like how he mentioned in Spectre, he's like, I got like cats to take care of, and Bond was like, well, if you don't want him to die, help me, or whatever. And now we get to see him and his cats and his whole house. And
nice house, by the way.
Really nice fucking house. Nice
he's
setup.
Cooking dinner.
Got the wine. He is fucking set. And then he's like, he goes and looks at the thing, and he's like, oh my god. He sees his Bond.
Did they? I have a weird question. It doesn't matter either way to me because I love Q as a character.
Yes.
They did, right?
Yes. It's very obvious.
Gay, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure.
So,
like, it wasn't obvious before this. Like, he could have just been like,
no. I mean, it doesn't have to be obvious. It's just a one-off. It's just
but it's just
he'll be here any second.
In no way do I care about it at all. Like, in no way I'm just like, he's gay. Like, I don't want to. It's cool the way they just do that.
Bond. He was like, God damn it, you guys are here, and he's like, oh fuck, I've got like 20 minutes. He'll be here any second, and then he picks up the cat off the table, and Bond's like, they come with furs these days. Yeah. And so they go through this whole thing, and he gives him the USB drive that I assume Aubreychev shat out because he's like, do you know where this has been?
Yeah.
And then he shoves it in, and he realizes it's DNA sequences, and they go over all that. And it's
funny, at first you think it's just Spectre DNA. At first,
but then all these fucking windows start popping open.
He literally opens up all the windows at once. He opens up every folder, and he's like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "This is
fucked.
This is like everything."
And then Moneypenny conveniently was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, people have been stealing DNA sequences for us for years."
Did not like that.
It's like, well, you didn't think to mention that before when you found out it was a DNA weapon.
I hated that line.
It was a little weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so. And then he's like, you got to get me into Belmarsh. And he's like, but only one person has access to see Blofeld. And then Bond's like, who?
Yeah.
And they're like, he didn't tell you? And he's like, no, he didn't tell me anything. Who has access? Yeah. And then smash cut straight to Madeline.
Yeah.
And she's walking in to just a regular day at the office for her to have a session with somebody.
Yep.
And it's Safin. And funny enough, right before she walks in, you see him. He has a little cloth, and he's playing with something.
Yes.
And it's her hair. It's a strand of her hair.
Damn it.
Now, I don't know if it's supposed to be a strand of hair that he got from her 20 years ago, or if he just found it in the office.
Yeah, I think it might have been from the office.
The way he was
gloves.
Nah, because the way he was like treasuring it and is like on this velvet purple thing, I feel like he got it from back then because of how obsessed with her he was.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have kept it just out of his pure obsession, and then he comes across this DNA weapon. He's like, "This is perfect,"
Yeah.
I think he kept it off of that, but he's sitting there, right? What happened to his fucked up face from the beginning?
It is still fucked up.
No, it's not. Because in the beginning, I mean, it's still fucked up. But in the beginning, his face is like
Thanos'
purple
chin,
streaks.
It's
and
yeah.
He's like totally diseased. And this is just kind of like rough.
Yeah, it's just rough.
A little bit. So I don't know what that means.
Maybe it's he aged and he got a little bit chunkier.
When I'm
not even kidding though. Like,
what I'm thinking
the face
is
that they show you before is like skinnier than what Rami Malek's face is. Whoever was under that mask was not Rami Malek, is what I'm saying.
No, it was definitely him. It was his chin, 100%.
I don't know.
But what I'm thinking is that what it was is almost immediately after Mr. White poisoned his whole family and killed him, he was still suffering. Like, he survived. He survived that, but he was still poisoned, so his face was fucked up, and he went straight there to kill him.
Oh, maybe.
And then over time, he healed. That's what I'm thinking. Possibly. But he was still fucked up a little bit. Like, his face didn't heal properly because of how messed up he was.
Fucked up.
Yeah. So... they have their scene. He's like, guess what? It's me. And he's like, I need you to wear this for me and go and see a person.
Yes.
And
I love this scene. I'm not this coming up scene, that scene with...
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to get there in just a second.
So
we cut back to M and Bond meeting. And this is a little weird for me because M was like, "Fuck you, get out of my office," and then they cut straight to them, and he's like, "I'll help you." It was a little weird.
Yeah.
Just like I felt like we missed something. Something got like left on the cutting room floor or something.
Something.
But you know, Bond's like, "Yeah, we found out that."
No, you know what I think of this? Hold on, I'm gonna go back. I actually think it's supposed to be like, once they cooled their heads, they talked, because no matter what, they do have a respect for each other at the end of the day. So I think that's all it was. It's just like, okay, cooler heads prevail. Like, now I think also, calm,
that's true.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I guarantee that's what it is. Plus, I'm sure Q told him like,
no, because he didn't, because Bond goes, yeah, we found out this and that. And he's like, right. Who's we? And then he goes, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is I think the only two times there was M says it in Skyfall. Yeah. She's like, I fucked everything up or whatever. Yeah. And then in this one he says, oh, for fuck's sake. It's the only two fucks in the whole Daniel Craig series. So he revealed, he's like, we scanned, Blofeld and found out it was a bionic eye that he was communicating with them.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I noticed the first time they showed the footage of him talking to himself when M was watching him. I was like, what happened to his eye? Like, his eye is normal again. Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And I was like, that's got to be something. And it turned out, because he's using the bionic eye.
Yeah.
And, so then we cut back to MI6, and they walk in, and Q and 007 are going in. And and Moneypenny's like, Bond's in there, just a heads up. And Q walks in, he's like, oh, Bond, I haven't seen you since your retirement. And M's like, shut the fuck up. I know what you did.
Yeah.
And then M's like, oh, we've reinstated Bond as a 00 agent. And then, again, you get to see how much it fucking means to her. She's like, 00 what?
Yeah.
00 what? She's like, it better not be 7. And we're going straight to prison.
And you have...
What we do is we cut to Madeline. in the mirror and with 007.
She's spraying, like, something on her wrist. And it's funny because they make it seem like perfume, at least to
007. We know what it is at this point because they've talked. At this point, when they're in the office, they talk about the fact that it's nanorobots.
Yeah. And
did I not put it here? Okay, they haven't talked about it yet. But I think that it's maybe you don't know yet. Actually, you might. No, you must know. I don't know.
Just say it, and I'll tell you.
No, I'm saying like about the nanobots. I don't think they've talked. They've talked about it, but they haven't gone in depth about it. But they're like, it'll kill you if you touch them.
Yes. Yeah. And they tell you that there's no cure.
No, that's not yet. Yes. I have a note of it. It's like after this prison scene when he kills Blofeld, they talk about it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But they've said something about it before this, so you know something about it. Because I think Obruchev is like, it kills people. It's something.
Yeah.
So you know that what's about to happen is like clearly if she touches him, something bad's going to happen. So you know enough. You know enough to know it's bad.
She's there, and then
he walks around the corner.
Yeah. Well, he's like, 007, it's funny because 007's leading... Madeline and Mallory. No,
I think it's Tanner.
It's Tanner. Tanner's leading Bond down one hallway, and Madeline's down another hallway, and they're talking and they're having this conversation. They're like, "Oh, make sure you keep your cool in there."
He's like, "Don't lose control." And Bond's like,
"I'm not gonna lose control.
I'm not gonna lose." Turns the corner, sees her, and he's like, "Control."
You can see the hurt in both their eyes. You can see the hurt in both their eyes.
And I love handshake denied, brother.
Bond tries, which if you think about it.
Of course.
If you think about it now.
She's worried, that it might hurt him.
Yeah, no, not even just that. What if... I'm pretty sure she didn't want Bond.
It's both.
Yeah, like... No, I'm saying because had she touched hands with Bond and Bond had touched Blofeld...
Yeah, it's both.
Blofeld would have died, so I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
She's worried in both ways. She doesn't want to risk anything.
Anything, yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not that she was being a bitch. I promise you, it's not that she was being a bitch. She didn't want to touch.
I think
Bond.
It was a little bit of both, though. She also, you can see in her eyes, she's like, God damn.
She's hurt. No,
yeah, she's definitely hurt.
They're both hurt because even Bond tries to play his cool, but you can see he's like, again, Daniel Craig, amazing job because if you look at it, he's reading like this, like, Miss Swan.
Miss Swan, nice to see you again.
You can tell his demeanor's changed completely.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways,
we go in there, and again, this is what I brought up in Skyfall. I think it was when we were talking about Skyfall. I had already seen the movie, and I was like, such a weird thing. I was like, they do this in the new movie too, where they lock up this normal 60-year-old man in this fucking ridiculous glass cage that has to inch out.
I think it's supposed to be because MI6 is not allowed to kill anybody, and they're not allowed to torture. But this is like as close to torture as they can get to somebody who's that. Yeah,
but it's so elaborate, and he's like chained, and like his arms are completely locked down in this glass cage.
And look how far he's still got to go with his eye and everything.
Yeah, with the eye, but that's what I'm saying is like that's a completely different thing to like the way they were straining him and keeping him in there. It's like he's gonna burst out like the Hulk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's a little bit like I love. It sets up such a great scene of him like slowly traveling down the track. But it's like, what the fuck? Like, he's not that crazy.
So as he travels down the track,
the music is building and building,
and
bro.
Swan's like, I can't do this. She
chickens out.
So you gotta let me go. And it's funny because this is actually a very nice heartfelt moment between her and Bond because
he's like, what?
He's like, what? He's like, what's going on? And like he grabs her
her wrist.
She freaks the fuck out. And it's at first you think she's freaking out because she doesn't want him to touch him because of what they had, but that's not what it is because she got the poison on her. Mm-hmm. She's like, don't touch me. Like she's like, don't.
And she's like, open the door.
Bond's kind of like, oh, okay. And then he's like, open the door.
Because Bond realizes like she's being very serious. She's like, something's wrong. Like, open the door, let her out.
She did not want to kill him, plain and simple.
Yes, and so she turns around. He's like, where are you going? She's like, home. And then she leaves. Yep. And then Blofeld
and the way
arrives.
she says it, you could tell like
there's something there.
Yeah.
So then Blofeld finally arrives from his track, and
they have a nice little back and forth.
So Bond just starts talking to him immediately, and he's like, so maybe you can help me or whatever. And he's like doing this. I love the way that he's talking to him this whole scene. Like you can tell he hates him.
Yes.
But he's trying to just be like, please fucking tell me something.
He absolutely despises him though. Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, it sucks what happened, your little birthday party got all fucked up.
Yeah.
And then Blofeld goes like, it was a disappointment, but we all cry on our birthday, right? No, Blofeld. No. You're pretty alone in that. No, most people aren't weeping on their birthday. So Bond's just like, just give me a name. Just give me a fucking name. And he's like, Madeline.
Yeah.
Madeline.
Yeah, he's like pushing. And he's
Bond's like, just give me a name. Madeline.
Yeah, because he's still trying to set up that like, oh, she betrayed you type of thing. Is what.
Yeah, because he knows what's going on with the pregnancy and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? You've been so good. I gotta give you something. He's like, come here, lean in. And he's like, all I had to do was set up a bomb at her grave and just wait. She never knew. She's like, she never betrayed you. All I did was just fucking wait, and she led you there out of the goodness of her own heart. I'm like, oh my God. And
that's when Bond's just like, fuck.
It's like, it's so good. It's such a great reveal.
He gets really mad, and he fucking grabs Blofeld.
This is my least favorite part of the movie because he
goes, he should have kept his cool.
Well, not just because he should have kept his cool. I would have preferred if he just like punched him or something and transferred it that way. But he goes, die. And Blofeld's like, what? He's like, die, Blofeld, die! It's like, oh my God, where are we? What is this? What movie did we just end up in?
It's been 5 years since he's hung on to that, like, Madeline betrayed me.
Sure, but it's just the delivery of it is just like, die, Blofeld, die! It's like so strange. Yeah. And the way he starts choking him, it stood out to me. I would have preferred if he just like slapped him or punched him and like transferred it that way. It's just so out of character and weird. It's like when in the last one where he's like, turn that shit off! You turn that off right now! Yeah, it's like weird.
But that's the thing though. Thinking back to it now. Nope, you're not thinking it off again. Thinking back to it now, she gets so upset. Nope, don't. Not his lap. Go.
She's just looking at me.
So thinking back to it, it goes. I think what they're trying to portray is when Bond's like in love with somebody, he does break character in a very different way because again, he just revealed to him.
Yes.
Oops, like
it's just the writing of it.
Die. It could have been better.
So weird.
I think that's what they're trying to showcase is like, hey, Bond's completely weak when it comes to somebody that he really loves, which he is. I mean, he was the same way with Vesper.
So, yeah, Blofeld's dead.
Yeah,
he dies, which is crazy.
So clearly, Bond does not kill him. Okay.
I mean, not technically.
No. What I'm saying is clearly, like, when they show you, like, when Bond lets him go, they clearly show Blofeld, and he's like,
he's fine.
Right, he's completely fine. And then he's talking to Tanner, and then
Tanner's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I know how to interrogate
people. And then
Tanner,
like, stops talking, he's just staring, he's like, Bond? And then they look back, and Blofeld's dead.
You kind of start to see, like, the cysts and stuff form in his face, too. It's very, like, minute, but you can start to see it. So, and it's at this point that we cut to him with Q, and Q's like, yeah, you got it on you. And, hey, by the way, they're eternal.
Yeah.
So at least they set it up, I guess. They set it up, and he's like, once they're on, you can never get them off. And, it goes by DNA, so if you're related and all this stuff. So, and then they're like, Bond, if you know where she went, you got to tell us. Where he was like, I don't know the first thing about her. Nope, and then smash cut straight to her childhood home, except this time, in the summer. And it's like gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he walks in with the pistol, and he's got like whatever he's wearing. I can't remember, but yeah, so he goes in, and she's there, and she's like, is that gun for me? And he's like, no, I was just being careful or whatever. And then he starts to, like, confess his love to her again.
Yes.
And
a very, I like the way he does it. Actually, he's like, nothing that has led me to you has been a regret. He's like, everything that we've done, there's no regret. He's like, the only thing I've ever regretted was leaving on that train. And then so he walks up to her and they're talking. He's like, don't. And he's trying to turn on the charm. Yeah,
he's
she's like, don't. And then they kiss. Mm-hmm. And then they separate from the kiss. And
whoa. Before we get to that, though, I just wanted to point out my favorite part about this that I noticed on second watch is that he's confessing and everything, the keys in the background are a very slowed version of the song, the title song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then as they kiss, it's super orchestral strings in the same arrangement as the title song.
Damn it.
I know, it's amazing.
I was too busy
it's phenomenal.
And
like you can literally, like, if you listen to the tune, it's like it's like the same thing. It's fucking great. The whole soundtrack is fantastic. So yeah, so then we look up and it's a kid. It's a little kid.
And to no surprise whatsoever, it's Bond.
Slinky.
No. I'm just gonna say it now because it's really not meant to be that much of a surprise. It's Bond's kid. Okay, they tried to lead you throughout the whole movie where it's not his kid because she tells him. Doesn't he say something like she's got my eyes?
This is the biggest problem with the movie. This is my least favorite thing about the movie is she goes up there and she puts her to sleep, and then they walk away, and Bond is like looking at her like oh my god.
Yeah.
And Madeline sees it and she's like, don't worry, she's not yours. And he's like, but the eyes, and she's like, she's not yours.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did she deny it? Not just once, but twice in a row.
Yeah.
What? And you would think, you might think
she does it is I'm pretty sure
because you might think, oh, they haven't been together or whatever, and so like, they're she hates him or whatever.
Not that.
But they cut straight to them. They're sleeping together. They didn't sleep together, I don't think, but they're sleeping in the same bed, like cuddling.
Yeah.
Like they're back to normal. Like they just kissed and everything. So why the fuck would she be like, definitely not yours? Don't get your hopes up.
The reason that I got that was because he's going back to spy life, so she doesn't want anything to do with that. She really doesn't, and that's the only reason that I get that. Because if he doesn't think it's hers, he's not going to care to protect her. But it's not that he doesn't care to protect her; she's not going to be in danger because that's not Bond's kid.
But it makes no sense though because of how she acts immediately after of sleeping with him. Yeah. They clearly are like they're back together now because of the way he confessed. So why would she? She wants him to be there and raise the kid, so it doesn't make any fucking sense.
I know,
it makes
weird.
no sense.
It's weird.
It's my biggest problem with the movie.
I think she wanted like a clear, like him retired, and before she was like, yes, this is like they were still in the middle
he retired for her once before. He can do it again,
yeah.
But
they're in the middle of something.
She walks away and she's like, come here, I have something to show you. He's like, another child? Which always got a big fucking laugh in the theater.
Yeah.
So yes, another secret Mr. White room again.
Yeah.
And then this is maybe my second least favorite thing about this movie is they start to talk about Safin and his like backstory, and they're like, he was remember this family like his dad had this like poison island garden thing, and Spectre or whoever killed his whole family with poison.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh okay, so what you're telling me is we got this bad guy, right? Like they're writing the movie, they're like, we got this bad guy, okay? We want to have him use this poison to wipe out a bunch of people on Earth. What should his backstory be? All poison, baby. Poison all the time. Yeah. He was from poison family, all around poison when he grew up. His family was poisoned. And he is poisoned. If you look at him closely, he's designed like a vial of poison. Or like it's just like weird, ridiculous. I'm like, they went too far. He doesn't have to have a backstory of poison to want to use poison to kill people. Like he can just be like, oh, this is a great way to accomplish my goals.
Did we miss something semi-important because they were sitting down at the way back when she first sees Rami Malek and they're talking, and he's like, "Oh, if you eat that plant."
No, that's not related. I checked that in a second. It's not the same plant at the end. No.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Is it?"
Because he says something like, "If you eat it, it will just kill you. You'll just die. Your heart will stop beating," which is unrelated. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure.
But it is a hint towards him like knowing everything about these like poisonous plants. So then we get they're sleeping together, and then the kid goes up and she's like, I'm hungry. Yeah. And then you get Bond like making her this little apple breakfast.
Yeah.
And he's like, how is it? And she's like, it's all right.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, it's all right.
It's okay. And then, he calls he gets a call or he calls them. And it's at this point.
No, he calls them. Yeah, he's like, should I tell you my location or something like that?
Oh, yeah, and they're like,
oh no, he's like, I'll tell you my location in a minute.
And he's like, well, that was before when they were in the dad room or whatever.
No, okay.
The West Right room. And then at this point, he calls them, or they call him, I can't remember. And he's like, where's 007? And, or whatever. And they're like, oh, she's in Norway, wherever it is.
Wherever is she at, yeah.
And he's like, I thought she was following Logan Ash, not me. Oh, shit. And he realizes that, Logan's on his way. And so they immediately run out.
Yeah.
So they start loading everything into the car. Yeah. And then we get... Okay, so here's a weird thing, right? They're driving away, and I did not understand this. Both times I saw it, Mathilde starts going, Mommy, a mosquito bit me. And she's like, oh, it's okay. And then a few minutes go by, and she goes, do mosquitoes have friends? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, they're setting out that she'd been poisoned, right? Like, what the fuck was that? Like the shit that shows up on their face. Like when Bond touched her, I was like, Bond touched her, it must have infected her or something.
Yeah, something.
Because what the hell? It's like so specific.
Yeah.
Mosquito bites and like, do mosquitoes have friends? Like it's spreading on her. I feel like it must have been something that was cut because they never talk about it again.
No.
And it seems so specific. Like it's not just some random, it's just a kid thing that she says. Like seems very, she's like looking at her arm as she says it. I'm like, something was going on here.
Either we missed something or something wasn't shown.
I've seen it twice, and I was looking hard every time. And I think it must have just something that was cut or something. Like maybe when they get to Safin's, he heals her or something because something was going on there.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'm not sure. But like maybe, no, I don't know. Anyways. And then we get this fucking phenomenal car chase. This movie has two of the best car chases I've seen in movies. The best car chase I've ever seen is in Mission Impossible 6, but these are two phenomenal car chases. So through the open plains, you got like 4 fucking cars surrounding him on all sides, and he's still managing to get around them. And
in a believable way, by the way.
Yes, and he's flipping them and shit, like kind of juking them, and then he sees the helicopter show up, and he ducks into the forest to avoid the helicopter. Yep. And the forest fight, dude, holy shit!
I like this.
It's fucking amazing.
Okay, so they end up ducking into this forest, right? And he tucks him away into like a little area. Actually, bunker. It's funny because she saves Bond.
Yeah,
because
she kills
Bond's
that guy.
holding the child.
Yeah.
And he's walking, and the guy goes to shoot, and then boom, Mallory unloads the fucking clip into the guy. And so then Bond hides her in like a trunk or like a cave.
It's like a bunker, like an old war bunker. It looks
so
like.
They hide her in like the bunker, and she's like, shoot anybody that comes in here that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
So Bond now is running through the forest, and he's shooting the gun up into the air.
So. I think one thing I love the most about this is we get the biggest comparison I can get, and this gives me that vibe is you get old man Logan. This is old man Bond. I feel like he's been retired. He comes back. He's wearing this trench coat, and he's just being badass without doing these ridiculous flips or jumps. He's just popping shots off, and he's using his environment.
Smart because so what he does is again he's shooting these pops off into the air, and then it shows him he reloads a grenade into the grenade launcher of the whatever gun he's using, and you hear the cars. You can hear the cars coming up on him, and you see the one he fucking blasts it.
Fucks it up.
He gives them 0 chances to get the fuck out of the car. He literally runs up, unloads through the window, right? Then he's thinking, fuck, I hear another car. He's like, what do I do?
A motorcycle.
And he goes to run. He goes, he hears a motorcycle. He goes to run, and then he stops. He's like, oh. And he goes and grabs a chain from
It was a winch off the front of the thing.
And he takes it, he wraps it around the trees, and he clicks it, and he's like,
hey!
hey!
We also should mention it's super foggy.
Yeah,
so
super
whoever
foggy.
Is on that bike, it's not really, they're wearing a helmet, and so you can't see anything.
Yeah, he's wearing,
over here.
A helmet, which it takes away his vision. Fog takes away his vision too. And then Bond yells out to him.
Oh my god, breaks his neck, and then walks up, pops another couple shots into him, just for good measure.
Yes.
And then, dude, oh my god.
I fucking love
Then
this.
Logan pulls up.
Yes.
Funny enough, Logan. Oh man, Logan, I was saying, but he pulls up, he starts popping shots off. And dude,
Bond doesn't even move because he knows that he's not going to be a good shot. It's foggy as shit, first of all. Secondly, he's driving in a car. You can't get your aim perfectly. You can't. And you can actually see it's cool, the bullet trails. You can see where they're going. Yes, you can see
where it's missing.
You can see the guy is a terrible fucking shot. The spread is disgusting.
That's my favorite thing that I've said before is I love that he just is I'm in the, there's trees, but he's in the middle of this kind of clearing. It's no matter what I do, I'm not going to get out of the way of this guy's shots really quickly. I'm just going to keep my cool and walk. Chances are he won't hit me. If he does, he does. I can't stop this from happening, so let me just focus on what I can do to stop him.
But the one thing they managed to do is they do manage to add it to realism because Bond does sit still, right? He does sit still, and he's like, if I get shot, I get shot, right? But then he notices the bullets do start getting closer, and again, he runs.
He books it to the thing.
Into a tree,
which is also kind of a like a ploy to like book it that way so that they do a hard left into the trunk.
Yeah.
And then the car, as it flips
he
over
turns,
him, he turns and he's like,
he clearly shot the driver.
Oh my God,
Clearly shot the driver. And
it's the most badass thing in the movie.
The car flips, lands, and it like leans on a tree that's given away. And
it's just the way it's all in one turn. The car's flipping, the camera's staying with him as he turns, and he's popping shots into it. It's fucking amazing.
Yes, and the car flips, it lands on a tree, right? Yes. And as it's on the tree, Logan crawls out of the tree, or out of the car, and he's like, he's talking to Bond, and he's like, "Oh, you're never gonna escape."
He's like, "Come on, brother, help me out here."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I had a brother, and his name was Felix."
Yeah.
And then he just kicks the shit.
He doesn't even kick it. He literally grabs it.
Yeah, well, I just meant like, he drops it.
Zips that shit on him and just walks away.
But I also love, no hesitation, like John Wick, like fully. He walks up, he would have blown his brains out, but he does it, and you hear a click. So if he had a bullet, he would have just shot him and moved on.
Didn't even realize that.
Yeah, there's a click. He like goes, and then he's like, and then he undoes the strap and drops the gun. But if he could have, he would have just shot him and been done with it.
He takes the car and dips it down, which is
right. But I love that no hesitation. He would have just blown his brains out. He wouldn't even listen to his bullshit.
Yeah.
So let's see. And then he's walking along, or they get Madeline and Mathilde, and
so he hears gunshots in the distance. And they pan to Madeline, and no, she shoots the one guy.
Yeah.
Had she fucking waited, she would have been able to shoot Safin.
No, it's because she used all the bullets on one guy.
Yeah, she's all the bullets on the first guy, yeah. Had she just...
That's a bad habit. She needs to drop.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, Safin ends up getting them. Mm-hmm. And we
Bond can't catch him. So then Bond is walking down the road, and then 007 picks him up.
Yes.
Because she was on their trail to begin with. She was tracking Logan. And
I like the way they talk, right? Because she's like, "Need a ride?" And he's like, "Where have you been?"
Yeah. And she's like, "I was tracking you down, you motherfucker." And then they go to the plane, and they get on the plane. Q's there, and they go up in the air.
This is when they make her likable, by the way. This is when it just starts
because she gives him back the 007 title.
It's not even just that. It's like I'm saying, even in the car ride when they're driving, he's like, he said something about your plane. She's like, no, yeah. He's like, my plane. She's like, no, our plane. I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
Like and shit like that.
And then on the plane, she's like, permission to reinstate Bond as 007. He's like, no, fuck it, sure, granted.
Yeah, and then she looks at him. She's like, it's just a
number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so. And then Q gives him his watch.
And she also says in the car, he's like, they got Madeline and the kid. I can't remember what the kid's name
is. I didn't even know.
She's like, I didn't know. Like, she's like in legit shock. She's like, I had no idea. She's like, we had no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like she's this heartless fucking spy. No, she's a person at the end of the day.
So, so Q gives him his watch. And
I love this watch,
dude.
I love this watch. I really do.
I love though that Q is like, he's like, how strong is this watch? And Q's like, fairly strong. He's like, fairly strong. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. He's like, it hasn't been tested.
And I love that because like he's actually questioning it because Inspector, he's like, it gets pretty loud if you know what I mean. And Bond's like, I know exactly what you mean. But in this one, they were like, no, that's bullshit. He's like, what do you mean fairly strong?
Yeah.
What is that? Is it a nuke? What, like you're not telling me what the fuck this thing is.
He's like, oh, it hasn't been tested yet. Yeah. He's like, it's on you. So.
And then, I mentioned this in the Spectre review, why is he getting re-injected with smart blood? Yes. I don't understand this. Yes. It feels like it's just a detail that they missed from the last one.
Either they missed it, to be fair.
Because it's not like fucking milk. It doesn't expire.
It makes me wonder. That's what I'm saying. It makes me wonder if maybe it does, though. Like, it makes me wonder if maybe
so
over
weird,
time,
though.
or they do have a way to get it out when you retire, because he was retired. So I do wonder
Possibly.
if there is. You know what I'm saying? And we just, just didn't happen on screen.
But that, maybe.
So
but it's just a weird thing.
It is weird. Yeah.
To not explain. But so, and then at this point, we cut back to Madeline and Mathilde on the ground with Safin, and he hints that he used that strand of her hair to create the vial of nanobots.
He's like, security. And it's so fucking good because it makes you think if she acts out of line, he's gonna poison her, and this is important for later because that's not what ends up happening. So fucked. And it's at this point that I started to get very confused because first watch through, you're like, she goes, it's not yours. It's not your child. Yeah.
It's not. And then Safin, just casually, not a reveal in this conversation, he's like, oh yeah, you bore his child, and now he's in this and that. And you're like, what? You're like, wait, what? Is he just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay. And then it comes back into play later. But, so anyway, then we get them hopping in that little bird drop plane thing.
Plane thing.
And the shot when it drops out, it just goes from on
and
them, the doors open, and it just pulls back.
And it literally stays in first person the whole way, like for a while, and it
dives
so
down.
Cool. I like that scene.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And they go in, they get under, and then Bond is like using his EMP watch to burst the locks in the doors and like shut down the cameras. And my God, he looks so badass in this whole scene. Like this outfit is so cool because he's wearing
a jacket right now.
He's wearing the same shirt that he was wearing in the forest, except he just slipped like the turtleneck over it or whatever. And so they're going through, they fight their way through, and then they notice that the doors, that it used to be a missile silo, which comes into play very importantly later. So let's see. It's at this point that. You get like Safin walking Mathilde through the poison garden or whatever and all that, and then they take Madeline away. That was a little bit before, and now we cut to Madeline, and she gets free. She takes the poison and like throws it in Cyclops' eyes, ruining, I think, his good eye.
His good eye, yeah.
And then she gets out.
Well, no. We'll talk about it in a second. No.
Well, because he comes back, but I don't.
He's not blind.
There's no. But it's a bionic. He still has the bionic eye.
Oh yeah, you're right. No,
so he can see out of one. You're right. But so she breaks free, and then Bond is still going through. They split up. They set explosives in the room or whatever with Arbachev, and he's like, I'm gonna go meet with Safin. If anything happens, just blow this place to shit. She's like, we don't have enough explosives for that. He's like, they don't know that.
Yeah. He's like.
He goes off, and
by the way, this is a very different Bond in a good way. Mm-hmm. In a very good way. I like this Bond a lot.
It's
this
the
is Bond
perfect mix of
like
everything.
Slightly jokey, but slightly serious, but loving. But like, I wish we would have gotten this Bond more throughout. But I understand why we didn't. It was part of the story to a point. I think this is a much happier and much carefree and loving Bond because he's not stupid. He knows he has a kid. He now knows he wasn't betrayed. He knows all this stuff. He's not bitter like he was in the beginning of the movie. He now has he's like, I have this reason for this mission. He's like, after this, it's all done, and I'll have everything that I've wanted. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's a big deal because that's literally what his attitude is. He's just like, he's happy. Like, he's legit happy. So he goes up and he has his meeting with Blofeld.
Yeah, so Blofeld.
I mean, sorry.
So
Jesus
he walks up the
Christ.
stairs.
Yeah.
And he goes in, and is Safin with Mathilde.
Blofeld?
Yeah. And Safin's like, drop your guns. And I love, and he did it in the Forest as well, just like a little detail for him that he does as a character. It's like anytime, I've never seen this either. Anytime he drops a rifle, he doesn't like pull it over his shoulder and drop it. He just undoes the strap. Yeah. It's like such a little badass little thing that he does that like most people would just like take the strap off and drop it, but he just like unclips the strap every time. He's like, I'm not going to use this thing again. Fuck it. So I love that. And so, you have this whole conversation, Safin getting his really big villain speech, like, I'm going to wipe out the world and cleanse it and all this. But it's a huge thing because, Safin is like, we're not that, as much different as you might think or whatever. And funnily enough, like rewatching it and thinking about it, and I watched some videos and stuff, like, he's kind of right because of the way that Safin and Bond both kind of are selfish in that Safin, holds on to Madeline. Like, he's obsessed over this and then also obsessed over how he was wronged and how he wants to get back with that. And Bond is selfish in that even though he knows what he's doing is dangerous and all this stuff, he still can't let himself let go of Madeline or let go of Vesper, and it's like so hard for him because he wants to have the both worlds, and he's not wrong. Like, they're very similar. They do just go about it in very different ways. Yes. But Bond is also kind of a selfish. Like, he's doing the way he's going about this shit is pretty bad. Like in the way that he treats people, and it's almost like he's using Madeline in a way. For different points. So all that goes down and. I love the way that he does. I've always thought this, by the way, and I love that they do this in this movie because, like, I've always imagined myself, like, and seeing in movie scenarios when you're in front of, like, a big bad or whatever, and they're like, just do this and I'll let you go and do that. And just, like, play into their emotions, like, do what they're telling you to do and, like, really make them feel, like, and use that to do what you need to do. And he does exactly that. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And he literally bows his head.
Yes, and it's like, that's exactly what Safin wants to hear. So why wouldn't you do that to trick him? So he does that, and then he pulls out the gun. headshots all the guards, and he almost gets Safin.
Yes, but Safin ends up getting
so fucking close.
Oh, and here it's revealed that it's Bond's daughter.
That was not. And then this was the part where I was like, "What the fuck?" Because he literally is just like, "And this is your child, and you would want to save your child." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, but
it's his kid. Is it his kid? Is Safin just saying that?
No.
I know it is, but I'm like now I know. But in the first watch, you're like, but she's so like it's not even just that she like denied it. She made such a clear point to deny it twice, and like
here's the thing.
She put emphasis on like it's not yours.
I'm telling you right now. Here's my thing with her denying it. I think she was like admitting it, but being like, just let this go. Like you're not gonna be a part of this kid's life.
But it's just then don't word it that way. They could have worded it a better way. Like she's not yours means
Bond's
like she's not yours.
Yeah, Bond's not stupid. Bond knows it's his kid.
Sure, but we don't.
Yeah, but anyway, so he gets sucked to the ground. And I fucking love this part because now they're at the bottom. Oh no, she comes in. Madeline comes in. He's like, oh, he took her. He's like, they went on the ground. Blah, blah, blah.
And then also, it cuts to them. But also we get Q is like we have transports that are coming in super fast to the island.
Oh yes.
And I believe
it's Japan, Russia.
So no, not yet, because he's just talking about the transport. He's like transports are heavy and bound. They're gonna like try and get the thing off the island. So then we cut back to Safin and Mathilde.
I fucking love this because it's like it's not your typical movie where they're like, I'm taking this kid as a hostage. Like the kid's like, let me go, and she bites him and he puts him down, and Safin like very meanly like stoops down to her eye level. He's like, do you not want my protection?
Then leave.
And he's like, then you can leave. And they let her leave. Like, dude, that's amazing.
Because, and it makes, and I saw people complain about this in the video. They're like, this is so weird. It's like, it's not. He has no reason. He doesn't want her.
No.
It does nothing for him to have her.
It doesn't.
She's not a hostage anymore.
Nope.
Because he's not worried about Bond. He's just leaving. Yep. And he doesn't need her for any other reason. She was just a tool to get Bond to come up there to begin. That was it.
Yeah, and
she is nothing to him.
His plan did not work for what he wanted.
Yeah, she is not. She's literally just a tool that didn't work. He just throws her away. He doesn't care. Like he would have taken her, but if she doesn't want to, fuck it.
Fuck it, yeah.
And it fits his character perfectly.
Why does he need a headache for that somebody's going to fight on you the whole time?
It means nothing to him. Yeah. Because as far as he's concerned, he's about to poison everyone. Bond's going to die.
Exactly. Yeah. He so thinks that he's won that he's just like, she's going to die anyways. I'm going to poison her. Bye.
Yeah, and I love it. I love that. I did love that. So then we cut to 007 and Abrachev. She has to like dip out because they're starting to surround her, and she starts to see like someone falls into like that water.
You said 007. You meant know me.
Well, she's not 007 anymore, right? Yeah. So she starts to see like where they're farming in the water or whatever. Somebody falls in, like it's like acid.
Yeah.
And then Abrachev is like, you know what? I don't need this to wipe out your entire race. And then no hesitation, right? She's not even like, what? She's just like, you know what time it is? Time to die. And that was the one where I was like, oh, okay. I don't know about that. Like that one doesn't come off a little bit to me.
Yeah.
But it's
she kicks him into the fucking water.
Yeah, she kicks him in the water and he burns to death in the acid.
It's not
water.
acid, by the way. That's the DNA thing. Like that's what it is. It's like a concentrated version of it because he does start to get blisters.
But I'm just saying, like
when he's in the water, he's like.
But it looks like they're like getting acid. Like
essentially,
it does the same thing.
It does the same thing. Yes, it literally just kills him.
So this is where they talk about like the political side, like the politics are a problem because this is like contested waters that has been like very fucked up for a while, and now they're like intervening and it's bad.
Yeah, so it's like Japan and Russia and something else.
Then Bond is like,
answers.
Like, do you have a ship nearby? Can we launch a fucking strike on this island? And he's like, I mean, I guess,
but it's gonna have repercussions.
And then Bond's like, no, we have to do it because if we don't do this, there won't be anything left to save. And he's like, okay, we'll do it. So at this point that they bring up like there's 20 minutes until the ships arrive. Now, I have seen people online that have talked about like this is so like there's no reason for the sacrifice to have to happen because he could just have waited to launch the missiles and left.
But no, he couldn't.
Because like if the ships are coming, it's gonna take them a long time to get Heracles off of there. But then I'm like, well, first of all, the missiles aren't blowing up the entire island.
Just that area,
and it's mostly just the farm, and then like it's just the buildings and the farm. So if they're pulling up in the water to get Heracles, the risk is if they get even a drop of that shit off of there, they can do it again.
Yes.
So and And even if they can't do it again, all they have to do is get one drop onto somebody, and it'll transfer through everybody. That's what they said. Is like they made it a new strand so that it's not just family members. It will just go to people who have the same tiny little minute gene thing. So if you get it on one person, it'll spread to everyone. So it is a huge fucking thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter about that time because the time doesn't matter because it'll take the missile 9 minutes to get there when it's launched. Missile has not been launched to this point yet. It has not, okay?
But what I'm saying is that people complained that instead of him getting off the island and then saying launch the missiles, he's like, launch them now before I get off. And people are like, that's ridiculous. But he knows it's major consequences of anything that gets off.
It's not just that. It's also his ego because he's exactly like Rami Malek's character. It is. He's like Rami Malek's character. He also thinks at this point when he says launch the missiles, he thinks he's won.
Yeah.
Okay, he 100% thinks he's won at that point. Anyways, we have one of the fucking coolest scenes, and it's a one-shot.
No, we're not there yet. So
damn it! I love that scene.
We're not even close there yet. So we have. Well, we're close, but he says goodbye to them. He sends them off. And dude,
right here, I shit you not. Did I not text you?
Yeah, you did.
And I said, I know where this is leading to, and I'm not gonna or some shit like that.
So and the second time that I watched this, I started getting emotional because he kisses her and he goes, "I'll just be a moment."
Yeah. He gave his jacket. By the way, this is the most badass he looks because he gives his jacket.
And now he's just full Nathan Drake, dude.
Oh, Nathan Drake! He looks so good. He looks
so phenomenal. So, Daniel Craig, please kiss me.
He kisses her and says, "It'll just be a moment," and he leaves.
What I wouldn't give to be Lea Seydoux right there.
But he leaves and then.
And then we get right here, one of my favorite shots in the whole movie.
I guarantee we're thinking about the same thing.
The quick turn in the hallway.
Yes.
They did the opening scene, but actually he did it. He does it.
He does it.
In real life.
But there's a
and
difference.
Kill someone.
There's a difference in this scene, though. It's not like, okay, so obviously it's a tunnel, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like.
It's not about that. It's just the turn.
No,
it's just about the turn.
No, but the tunnel, right? Like, never mind.
I mean, it is in a tunnel and everything to represent the gun barrel, but it's more just about the fact that he did the real turn.
Yeah,
like,
of course,
he did it.
he does it. He's like, boom.
And it was more realistic, and like he had to do a quick turn on this guy. And dude, oh my god, it's so phenomenal that they did that as well in his last movie. Like everything they're doing is just a great send off to him.
Yes, this scene I feel like seals the deal that he's gonna die. I'm just saying it right now.
Nothing ever sealed the deal that he was gonna die for me because.
Well, that's how the movie ends.
Right, but in any of these movies, it's always just like, everything's coming to a head. How is he going to get out? And then, they get out. Yeah, so, and Bond has never died before, ever.
Yeah.
So no one is like, everybody's just like, something's going to happen. He's going to get in the ship or somebody's going to come save him. It's mind-blowing that it happens. But.
Yes.
So
that's how it happens too.
Now we get the pseudo one take up the stairs.
This scene is amazing, by the way. Because it shows you the stamina that they fucking have to do the scene. He's going, and a lot of these things are some of the most realistic details I've ever seen in a fucking movie. Because you have the one part where he's worried. It's smoky. He can't see everything. Mm-hmm. He can't see everything, right? So there's a few scenes where there's one part where he leans up against the wall and he notices there's a guy above him, right?
Yes.
So he shoots the guy above him, but he didn't realize directly across from him.
And then he just ducks like this, and you see bullets.
And it was
right where he was.
And it's funny because he didn't realize across from him because of the smoke. There's literally two guys there.
Yeah.
It's just they shot in that direction because he just happened to shoot above him.
So
it's like
this scene begins with him going in the stairwell and a grenade drops down. He's like, oh shit!
Throws it back up. And
three more
grenades dropped down.
And so then he runs out the stairs and the explosion kind of blows him against the wall.
Yeah.
And that's where the one take starts. It's when he hits the wall, and then you just go and you're just following right behind him the whole time.
And it's not a Daredevil level of I'm taking out 50 men because he doesn't take out 50 guys.
This is more badass.
Shooting. It is badass.
At least I haven't seen Daredevil season 3. Maybe there's something in there, but the ones I've seen Daredevil are phenomenal. But this is it's just because of how impossibly tight it is. You're there's no way, but still it's believable that he survives it, the way he uses the human body as shield again, which we saw that in Skyfall?
Yeah.
With Silva when he covers himself with the guy.
He hides it, he pump and he shoots the one. Yeah.
And he's also he's grabbing clips from these guys. He's using their guns when he runs out.
Good and very fucking believable. Yeah, because at one point he runs out of bullets. He puts that gun down. He grabs the gun. From the body he's using as a shield.
He uses his hand. He like the guy is still holding it, and he's like just using his finger to trigger it, and then he has to like yank it out of the guy's hand to keep going.
So good. This shot is phenomenal. Then he gets up to the top, and or the control room or whatever.
Well, no, it ends when Cyclops. The one shot. I mean, the pseudo one shot ends when Cyclops like tackles him, and then you get a cut.
Yeah,
and then he starts wrestling with him. And then, he uses the EMP
to blow his eye out.
Blow his fucking brains out.
And then he says something like, what is it?
So then Q comes on and he's like, Q, I just showed somebody your watch. Really blew their mind.
Yeah, I was like, dude, these one-liners are just, they just went full
That one I love.
Yes,
that one I love. And that's the last one, I believe.
And then he's like, have you found the control panel? He's like, unless my Russian's a little rusty. He's like, I'm pretty sure this is it.
So then he goes in, and then Q is like,
this is super, like, you need to pay attention. He's like, this is super specific. He's like, it's hard. And then Mom's like, done.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And then Q's like, okay. He's like, all right. So, so he gets to do the control. He turns it on.
He opens the silo. Because we forgot to say, they set up that the doors need to be open or else
the missiles hit,
it won't.
They're just not going to do anything.
They'll bounce off, but like they'll also just like, they'll blow up there and it won't destroy the farm.
He gets the blast
opens
doors
it
open,
and he says, launch them.
Launch the missiles.
And Q is like...
Again, he thinks at this point, at this very point in the movie, he does think, we've won, we got this. That's a very typical Bond thing, though. Bond's always made it out in the nick of time. He's always been fine. Like you said, somebody always saves him out of some bullshit situation.
Right. So Q is like, no, but you're not that. And he's like, just do it. I'm getting out of here. And Q's like, okay. They launch it, and he starts to head out. And I love, he walks past, and the camera's like up tight on his chest.
Yeah,
and you see him, and he's like, huh. And then he turns around, walks back, and still you're on him, and you're like, what is he doing? And then it pans down.
What she calls it, her
doo-doo. Yeah. And she picks it up, and he like smirks, and he like tucks it into his holster.
Yeah, he got that little fucking bear for her.
Yeah.
Ah! God damn it!
And then, you hear, and the doors start to close again. He's like,
he looks up, and he's
fuck!
like, no!
Yeah, and he starts running back, and he runs right over where the doors closed, and he gets shot to fucking shit.
No,
by
it's not
Safin.
a bunch of shots. It's not a bunch of shots.
But he does. In general, he does because he gets shot twice, maybe three times.
No, twice.
He gets grazed on the third.
So what happens is the first. What's his name again? Safin takes a couple shots at him, and Bond just ducks into the blast door in the water, and he's kind of like sitting there. And
he hits him there.
No, he doesn't hit him yet.
He does.
No.
Yeah, he hits him in the chest.
No.
Yeah, I promise you, he hits him in the chest.
No, he never gets hit in the chest.
He does.
No,
he gets hit like not the.
No.
I say chest, but I just mean like it's here somewhere. He does get hit. That's why he falls over.
No. He doesn't fall over because he doesn't get hit. I promise you.
He does.
Here's what happens. No, here's what happens.
Okay.
He falls to dodge the bullets. He doesn't get hit, right? So I almost called them both falling again. Safin shoots him in the back while they were literally in the middle of a conversation. Like they were saying something, and he literally just shoots him. And Bond's like, "Fuck! Like I've been shot." Like he knows he's in a bad spot. So they're having another back and forth, and then Bond suddenly jumps and charges at him, and then gets shot in the chest. That's when he gets shot right here. Because he literally runs to go at him. I promise you he did it.
I'm telling you, he's already been shot because he doesn't duck down. He's running. He doesn't even know Safin's there. He's running, and then Safin shoots him.
Yeah,
he doesn't know Safin's there until he opens fire and gets hit.
Yeah, but
and then he falls.
But I promise you, nothing hits him. Like because I remember looking, I was like, "Oh shit, was he hit?" And he's not officially hit until like Safin shoots him in the back. I promise you.
You're saying what? You looked for like blood or something?
Yeah, no. I looked for blood. I looked for bullet wounds. There was nothing on his chest. He only got shot in the chest when he got up to like.
Well, he got shot somewhere because he fell over.
Well, maybe he got grazed. And
he fell from being shot.
But at this point, he's not. At this point, he's not like mortally wounded.
Because he's focused on the thing, and Safin shows up. He doesn't know Safin's there until he gets shot and falls over.
But I don't think he gets shot. I have to rewatch it, but I promise you, he doesn't get shot. Like I believe.
I'm telling you, he does.
I think he shoots at him, and he like. The bullets kind of like whiz by him, and then like Bond kind of like just drops. He like full just drops.
No, he gets hit. I'm telling you,
then he gets shot in the back.
I'm telling you, he gets hit the first time.
Because he gets shot in the chest when he runs at Safin the second time. Like
that's his shoulder. Turns,
that's
like here.
Hits him like right here because Bond literally starts to Bond literally starts to hold his chest. He's like, "Fuck!" Like I'm in trouble. And then that's when he tells him he's like, he breaks his arm in anger.
Dude, that was brutal. That was
breaks
like,
his arm.
Dude, literally like the women in front of me jumped with a snap because it was like
it was a brutal snap, right?
It's the most brutal thing I've seen in any of these movies.
And then he goes to shoot. He goes to pick up the gun to shoot him, and then Safin's like, "Ha!" He's like, "Now you've been poisoned."
Well, yeah, because he breaks his arm, and then Safin like flips and turns on him and hits him in the face.
Yeah. And he's like, "You've been poisoned," and it's funny because
you've been poisoned with heartbreak, just like I have.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're like, what? You're like at first you're like, so he's been poisoned.
He's got the scratches on his face.
Yeah, and then what you end up finally realizing is he's been poisoned with
Madeline and Mathilde, like the DNA. It's because it's coded to his DNA, which means it would kill them.
Yes. So at this point, Bond's fucking hurt as shit. He's bleeding a lot. You can see it. He's stripping in the water, and he takes a gun, no hesitation, boom, boom, boom.
3 shots. Quick as fuck.
Yep. And he
brutal, dude.
He walks away, and at this point, you know he's not gonna make it. You know 100% he's not gonna make it. He's walking.
Nah, because there's still the doubt. You're still like, how is he gonna? Yeah, for me, I was like, how is he gonna get out of this?
At this one, because there's
no precedent. There is 20 to 20. I mean, I was thinking heavily. I was like, really? Are they gonna do this? But I was still like, but they've never killed him before.
I never even once thought like, oh, he's
we have
like fine.
2 decades worth of him never dying.
But I'm saying, no, at this one, I knew he was gonna die. I even texted you like, I knew he's gonna die. It's the way he's talking to Q. It's the pauses between them.
He's like, Q, is there a way for me to like blow up this whole thing or whatever? He's like, yeah, that's fine, but you just need to get off the island.
Yeah. So no,
I'm not gonna make it.
Q's like Bond. No. So this is when. So something we forgot to tell you is they randomly lose connection. In the.
That's when he goes deep into the base.
Yeah, not even then because he lost connection because when Bond was going back up the stairs, you start to hear Q like coming in. He's like, Bond, are you there? And he's like, yeah, I'm here. And so then Bond's like. He's like, you're off the island, like, right? And Bond's like, nah, there was complications. He's like, you need to be off the island. And he's like, well, the blast was blah, blah, blah.
Well, he's asking me, he's like, is there any way to get this off?
Yeah,
that's
okay. So
get rid of this.
He opens the doors again, and he starts to bring down the ladder. And before he brings down the ladder, he goes,
yeah, is there any way?
Sure? He's like, are you sure? Yeah. There's no way.
He's like, no, I already told you it's eternal. You just need to get off the island.
Yeah, he's like, it's eternal. And then like it hits him, and he's like, you've been poisoned with like Madeline's.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, there's no way to do it. And Bond, this hit me. He goes, that's all right, Q. That's all right. He's like, he just accepts it. That's the point where he accepts nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, because he prefers to die than to live to not be able to be with his love and his daughter.
Yes, which is another point. And when I brought up, him and Safin and their similarities and like selfishness, he finally has decided that he's going to let go and do the least selfish thing, which is to let himself go.
Yes.
To save them and to not try and make it work and risk this stuff. He's like, I'm gonna let myself go.
Yeah.
And he finally just becomes like a fully good person. Yeah. Like he really lets it all go.
He goes up the ladders. He goes up the ladder, and then I think he asked for.
Well, he asked for Q to patch him through, and he makes absolutely fucking sure that they're safe. Both of them. He's like, "You're there. You're safe." He's like, "Both of you are safe. Yes. Like you're good." And she's talking to him. She's like, yeah, you got to get off the island. You got to get off the island. And he just pauses.
He flat out was like, I'm not going to make it.
He pauses. And he's like, I'm not going to make it. And she's just like, what? Like, what are you talking? Like, like you got to get out of there. You got to get off this. And he's climbing up the ladder, like hurt as fuck.
Yeah.
He gets out of the top and, he fully stands
up. They're
talking.
And she's like, you've been poisoned.
Coming down.
She's like, you've been poisoned. No, she's like, you've been poisoned. Yeah. He's like, yeah. He's like
and she goes,
and it's funny because when Bond gets poisoned, that's when you realize that's the insurance policy. It wasn't that he was gonna poison Madeline with it. It's he was gonna use it on Bond. So if he can't have her, neither can Bond.
Yeah, and that's why he said we've both been poisoned by heartbreak because Safin also was obsessed with her and he can never touch her again either. So Bond gets all the way up and she says if only we had more time, and he says you've got all the time in the world.
Yes.
Again, bringing that back, and then she goes. She does have your eyes, and he goes, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And
dude, then gets hit.
You see the missiles and boom, boom, boom. And there is zero fucking way that he survives.
I love when I got out, my brother was like, that's the thing they have to do nowadays with these characters. Like, if they want you to believe that they kill him, they got to really kill him.
Yeah, I was like, kill him. Like, literally, you see the boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you see him
go up. He's in a hellfire blast.
There's no shot.
He's done. There's no way of living.
Yeah.
He's dead. They want to make sure that you know that Bond has died.
Both times I saw this movie, I was tearing up, man. I didn't cry.
I'm surprised I didn't. Teared up for sure.
I'm surprised I didn't cry. Like, I felt the want to, but like I didn't quite get. I was just tearing up. Like, it was just so emotional.
Brutal.
Because it's not only him dying. It's also you kind of get a feeling of like Daniel Craig like saying goodbye, like to this role like forever. Like he's not coming back.
Yeah. They have a nice moment for him where they're sitting around a table and they're all drinking scotch.
And Im reads a quote from someone that I believe It's not an Ian Fleming quote, but Ian Fleming used that quote in a James Bond novel. Okay. It's like, I shall use my time.
Yeah. It's like a normal man. Something I can't remember what his exact quote is, which sucks. But he's like Bond used the best of his time.
As long as I'm here, I shall use my time.
And that's basically what he's saying is Bond used his time wisely.
So I think another maybe slight thing is I would have preferred maybe a little bit more of an epilogue. I felt like it was so quick. Like he dies. They have a toast, and then they're driving off. It's like 5 minutes, and it's over. You don't get time to, let that breathe, to grieve a little bit. You just.
But that's on purpose. Done. I think that's on purpose because, at the end of the day, this is Bond's story, and Bond's no longer there. So I think that's what it is. I think they're just like, okay, time to just shut it down. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like you could have had like a
grave
scene or something, like her going to his grave, or have some sort of moment, but it's just straight into them driving off.
And no after credit scene?
No, of course not.
Nope, nothing.
And then she's like, let me tell you a story about a guy. His name was Bond.
James
Bond.
Yeah,
and that's the last line of the whole movie. And then you get... and so I didn't know this. I found out after watching videos that the whole, like, all the time in the world, like we got all the time in the world thing, is actually a callback to... one of the Bond movies. Funnily enough, a Bond movie that it was like the guy who played Bond in that movie. I can't remember his name. He only got one movie. He only played Bond for one movie.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I don't know who it is, but I know what you're talking about.
It's called like Our Majesty's Secret Service or something. That movie. And in that movie, funnily enough, spoilers, I guess. I haven't seen it either. I just know this, that he falls in love with somebody and she dies.
Yeah.
And it's just like Vesper. And it's clear that they took that for a lot of inspiration. And then right now at the very end of the wrap-up, that we've got all the time in the world line is set in that movie. They use it. And also the song that plays over the credits here is also used in that movie. And so they just use it all to wrap everything up into a nice package.
Yes.
And
so there's no after credits scene, but what happens is after the credits, I don't know if you know this or not.
Yeah, James Bond will
return. And
then of course. It's in every movie.
Yeah.
And I would love to, see somebody who doesn't know it and just be like, What?
Well,
how did he survive that?
Yeah.
And apparently, like, a lot of people, like, more casual audiences saw this and were like, but isn't he, like, how are they going to make another one? He's dead now. Like, they don't understand that, like, they recast.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But, yeah, so they're going to, it's going to happen soon. They're going to.
Yeah.
I think they said they're already looking for the next person.
One, yeah.
I really hope they let it go for maybe 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
3 to 4 years is the perfect time.
5 years max.
Yeah. And then we'll be ready for some more.
Yeah. Let this one settle. Because this one was
really,
good.
yeah, really let it settle. Because
what's your rating?
Well, like out of 10? I mean, do we usually do this?
Yeah. What do you mean?
I guess.
I don't think we've done it with Bond. I only think we've done it with the MCU.
I would give it a 9.
I'd give it a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. I'd give it a 9 for sure. It's good. I'm telling you guys, it's worth watching, especially if you've invested your time with the Daniel Craig movies. It's a nice swan song. So
it sucks so much that we're not going to get any more of him.
I would
rather like that he go out on his own terms.
Yes, but I love what they did with this movie, right? Because they gave him the normal life. They gave him hope. They gave him the wife. They gave him the kids. They gave him, hey, he's about to have everything that he wanted, and he got none of it.
And that's the thing that I find funny. I watched a video where somebody had a line that they said where it's like, this is the movie that will be remembered as the movie where Bond dies, and not the movie where Bond had a family.
Exactly.
Which is very interesting to think about. And that's true. It's gonna be this is the one where Bond dies.
And it's just
but he has a family man.
He had a life.
Yeah, I assume that means like this is the first time he's ever had a child.
Yeah.
In any of these movies.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
It's such a huge what they did with all 5 of these movies.
4 of these movies.
With all 5 of these movies, because ignoring. How poorly the edit and everything that turned out Quantum of Solace.
Quantum of Solace after finding all that stuff out. After finding everything out, I respect it.
Sure, but the concept and the idea of what they're trying to go for there, and they mostly if you just take the bare minimum story points of him trying to wrestle with Vesper's death and making that like an epilogue to Casino Royale. Just ignore the movie and just keep that in your head. Like those story points, those story beats, and the overall, it's like that is good. Like that works, and that really lends itself to the whole 5-movie journey.
Yeah.
So everything that they did here, it was all in service of like trying to make him a real character, a real human that you can relate to and believe in.
Yeah.
And
he was a very different Bond. He did have those suave moments. He didn't have those Bond moments.
Yeah.
But he also had a lot of human moments, like ridiculous amount of human moments.
Yes.
overall, I love this movies. I'm glad we did this. Even if we don't get a lot of views out of it, I don't give a fuck. These movies are so worth watching.
And this one especially was unbelievable.
So, go ahead. Your ranking for the 5.
I mean, Casino Royale is still number 1 for me.
I knew that was going to be.
And then No Time to Die at 2, and then Skyfall at 3, and then Spectre at 4, and then Quantum at 5.
So for me, Skyfall, I still prefer that one.
Okay.
No Time to Die is my second one. Casino Royale.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Spectre, and then of course Quantum.
And then the themes would be No Time to Die.
I agree with that.
Casino Royale.
Nah, I like Skyfall a little bit more.
Nah, because that's the thing, and I was thinking about this as well. I think the reason that I like those two so much, like listening to them all in a row, No Time to Die and Casino Royale felt like they were going out of, like they focused on making a good song that would suit Bond. Yeah. And less on, like, when you listen to Skyfall and Writing on the Wall, which, you know, is a fine movie, or fine song.
Yeah.
It's like, it just feels like they're trying to show off. It just feels like they're trying to make something that's like, this is going to be the Bond song to end all Bond songs.
Yeah,
Writing on the Wall especially does feel like that. I felt like they were trying to go somewhere different with it. And then Skyfall, like, it worked. Everybody's like, this is the best one. Adele, oh my God, Adele.
No, I don't care because it's Adele. I like the visuals.
Oh, the visuals, sure, but song wise, I just don't like the. I just don't like. I just get a sense of like we're trying to make a really great Bond theme instead of focusing on what does it mean to like the movie. What are we gonna make these lyrics about? The visuals, everything together, and just focus on that and not think about the publicity and the press and the like. Oh, she made such a great Bond song because, funnily enough, Billie Eilish made what I think is probably the best and everybody shits on it because they're like, there's not enough. Where's all the instrumentation? No, it's not. There's nothing going on in the song.
No, dude, I fucking love this song.
But it's cause, that's what I'm saying is like Skyfall is so bombastic and like in your face. You know what I mean?
No, this one is this was good. I don't care. We both agree. No Time to
Die. Casino Royale. Skyfall. Spectre and Quantum. I don't fucking Quantum. Can we put Quantum in like its own tier? Trash
tier.
I don't know. I mean, you would think like even in a bad movie they would like pull out a good song or something. No, terrible, fucking awful.
Yeah.
It saddens me.
Yeah,
deeply saddens me.
Yeah. All right, so I mean that's all we have to say about it. Yeah. Go watch this shit. It's worth it.
I mean, let's just restart right now. Do another 2 hours. Talk about it again. God damn.
I love these movies, but yes. Anyways, go watch it, and that's all for this episode. And see you next time.
We'll see you guys later.